Hello, and this is an open letter to Dr. Stephen Greer of the Disclosure Project on how we can move scientific disclosure forward in the upcoming year, 2021. A lot is going on. A lot is going to happen this year, I believe, and I'm making it happen. All right. So, Dr. Greer, I'm a physicist and UFO researcher since about 2004, 2005, when I started getting into research like this and became a truth activist and created this YouTube channel in about 2008, 2009. And I've been working for the past decade and a half on deep scientific disclosure. So I want to talk about so far what I've done. I've accumulated the largest public one of the largest databases that we have related to of files connected to anti-gravity or ET engineering, and anything. We call it ET engineering because it's just weird science stuff. It's a huge kind of like what the Disclosure Project was doing with government witnesses, only we're doing it with government scientists and focusing on the scientific side, with a focus on alternative propulsion and energy physics. Working with Tim Ventura of American Antigravity right now, and we're promoting and organizing an online Zoom conference weekly or bi-weekly, depending on our schedules and stuff. We're bringing in scientists who worked on classified government programs, which are now declassified and now being worked on in civilian labs all over the country and in labs around the world. It's a very small scientific community of people that are knowledgeable both on the technical side of things and also interested in exploring some of these new ideas. So it's a small community right now, but we're hoping to we're gradually finding that a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork. Scientists that say, I'm super interested in this, but I'm just afraid for my career and my credentials about talking about this or getting into it, and the time for that is over. I want to encourage scientists from all walk of life that this is the year we need to break through these old school stigmas and a lot of these controlled ways of thinking that are limiting us scientifically and in our human progress towards the next step, which is getting off this planet and building technology that will get us there, or getting the technology out of these top secret black programs and into the public domain, where it can be used by humanity to achieve greatness instead of achieving whatever the heck we're doing right now. I don't understand what the government is doing. It doesn't make any sense, and I don't think anyone knows what they're doing. It's just working off the interests of financial institutions, it seems, and that's really not a good plan. It's really not going to get us far in the long term of things, and so this is why we're putting together APEC, and to basically stimulate the scientific and academic community into realizing that it's now or never. It's boom or bust, and there's no better time to get involved, to prepare. You just prepare a lecture for what you say. I mean, they can only criticize you for the things that you say. So we're fostering an environment that helps scientists and people in the academic community and in the technical world know that there's a comfortable place where they can go and share information with a community that cares and is not going to criticize them, and that's going to avidly protect them and withhold and uphold ethics and scientific integrity, which is what we're trying to aim for with this conference and with the people, the team that we have assembled. So back to Stephen Greer. So nearly all of the old 2001 press conferences and videos and interviews that were from those 450 plus Disclosure Project witnesses that you had come forward, they're all gone off YouTube. You can't even find this stuff anymore. That was the material that really got me interested in studying more about, the possibilities within the field of, something else bigger than what's here, and that there could be government suppression of ideas. And it really got me looking into some of these scientists and stuff, and really got me interested in studying this like about 20 years ago. It was 20 years ago this June that 2001 press conference took place, where Disclosure Project started. Now, it's just a shame what's happened to the field of ufology over the last, 3 to 4 years, the last 10 years, really. And with the Trump administration and the far right's views on conspiracies, the QAnon stuff and people like how that's mixed with the alien conspiracy world with guys like Simon Parks, which have really thrown quite a large amount of muck into the water right now. So we have some really dirty water, and it needs some clarity. We need to put an agent in that's going to, make all these, all the muck go bye-bye and put laser focus and clarity on this field and on how to move it forward, because the government's never going to budge. And if, they know stuff, it's never going to get declassified, I don't think, because like I said, we've done the research. It's locked up in private corporations, which are untouchable by FOIA. The FOIA's, guys like John Greenwald, who I really like, and got me started on this, the documents research and all that years ago. There's tons of stuff in the documents that show that they're lying about UFOs. They're still lying about UFOs, and the government's lied about this for a long time. They created a whole panel called the H.P. Robertson panel, and and hired a bunch of CIA agents that really hated the idea of aliens and UFOs, and a bunch of scientists who really thought that they were upholding science, like to basically like start a campaign to basically, a whale hunt, an Ahab's whale, a Moby Dick type mission to, we have to hunt and kill down these conspiracy groups and these groups of people that are thinking about aliens and thinking about UFOs and that kind of stuff. So, yes, it undermines credibility and faith, public faith in the government when they do these things, when they release their UFO files to the public, like they did like the CIA did to Black Vault recently. And there's still numerous redactions where information's still missing from documents that are like 60 plus years old. It's like, what is so important that they're still being hidden? And what do we need to do physically to get from where we were 20 years ago with Disclosure Project, trying to bring witnesses out, the right witnesses. The only problem is that there were so many, nut jobs mixed in with the Disclosure Project that it kind of, I think it was done on purpose in some ways to discredit some of the, the real people that came out. And that's going to happen. We understand that could already be happening at our conference with some of the attendees that we've had. And so we have a tool that we use to sort out the people that are there spreading lies and the people that are there to find the truth and get at some semblance of the truth. And the truth is a very difficult thing to nail down, especially in science, and we're dealing with the weird world of quantum physics. But anyways, I've seen more division in the last 4 years than ever before in history. I've lost more friends and family members due to extreme political views and division and conspiracy theories and disagreements on conspiracy theories, because no one can figure out what the facts are. Just the last, several years, it's been crazy, all right? And I think we can all bypass all that political nonsense and stop pushing the government for answers that it's never going to give and probably doesn't even have. If we just buckle down and we ally together and we focus on the science and creating a safe and protected environment for scientific disclosure, for scientists to come forward with information, and another side which does Q&A, cross-analysis, and experimentation on different ideas to verify these claims. I think it's a two-part system that we can really cut down on the amount of mud in the water and get some clarity finally within this field, so we don't have all the disinformation clowns running around wild like what happened with PES Wiki or Tesla Tech or the Orion Project to an extent, So I also want to talk about the CE5 stuff and all that alien contact that's really not doing wonders for, Greer's public image and his image within the UFO community. Tim McMillan recently did a post a couple hours ago just on Twitter here that I found, and he got all the filings for Stephen Greer's CE5 project. So quite interesting stuff. So people often ask my thoughts on Dr. Stephen Greer. Let's just say this is Tim McMillan I'm reading. He has some questions, not to do with his claims about the government and disclosure. Right, we all can agree on, the government's lying about a lot of stuff, and that disclosure is locked up, and there's a truth embargo going on right now. I think we all agree on that. There's a lot of evidence for that. Rather, he has questions about Greer's disclosures to the federal government. So let's take a look at Greer's disclosures to the federal government. Here are the 2010 financial disclosures of Greer's now defunct CSETI, which was like he's tried to start a new SETI group to look for aliens because he thought that the scientists weren't doing a good enough job, and he needed to create his own group to show them up. But in reality, that group went defunct. It says that the filings from 2006 to 2010, CSETI brought in $2.2 million. Interestingly, almost 1/3 of that was from lump sum gifts given by disqualified persons, meaning someone in a position to exercise substantial influence over the affairs of CSETI, but who that was is still a mystery. Which is interesting. He gets like billions of dollars to run this company, but that person gets to remain secret. And so his first suspect was Bigelow, but I checked, and Bigelow says, hell no, if it was Greer himself, he dumped $710K of his own money into a tax shield he was running that could be problematic, which I'll explain why in a moment. According to filings in 2009, CSETI made $344. There's a lot of stuff going on here with the financials. I'm not going to go deep into this. There's quite a long page thread here on Twitter that people can go and check out from Lieutenant Tim McMillan. He writes for the brief, or the debrief report. And again, I'm going to get back to Stephen Greer and my open letter to this, but I just wanted to sidetrack to this for a minute, because this is where this whole CE5 and this alien contact thing is taking you. And I just want to make you aware of that I'm not the only one saying this. These are some of the biggest reporters, I guess, in our small little field, saying this as well, not just me. So this is what I want to say to Dr. Greer, really, is you need to get back to your roots, okay? You need to get away from whatever this is you think you're doing and get back to your roots. The Orion Project had the right idea, okay? The Orion Project, okay, the Disclosure Project was cool, but the Orion Project was focused on the scientists. And that is where you're going to get your answers. That is the people who know this stuff. Those are the people that you need to talk to. But you didn't have the right people. You didn't even know where to look for the right people. But I do. So if we focus on the science and forget all that other stuff, we can begin the long-term battle for disclosure, real disclosure. And I think it's going to be a combination of disclosure and discovery, because some of the answers we don't have yet, and we need to find them through discovery. It's not just going to be, the government has these answers and they're holding them and they're going to come out one day and tell you. It's so crystallized and compartmentalized. Even if one person knows a whole bunch of stuff, that one person's probably a scientist, and they're not allowed to talk about certain things, for whatever reasons. But I think that time is changing now, and there's that's what we're trying to do here, anyways. As you may already be aware, there are several international teams working on anti-gravity research, and a ton of anti-gravity research has already been declassified in the last 3 to 4 years. And I use this term anti-gravity, but it really is a misnomer, because a lot of this is propulsion research and alternative propulsion research. It's just kind of framed as anti-gravity, because that's just a more general term that more people understand. But I understand that there's technical and physics people that are going to have a big problem with that word, and that's okay, because if you're just having problems with one word, then you're going to have a lot of problems with some of the information and things that you're going to see on this channel and stuff. So I hope we do, because we're here to sort out those problems and find solutions. That type of information and this type of analysis, I assure you, will flip the skeptics within the scientific community, like Neil Tyson and Bill Nye or Michio Kaku. The CE5 and the Incan mummies for, the Serious Disclosure Project, that hasn't fazed people at all. In fact, I think, it's actually created more critics. And honestly, these people, these scientists are your most important critics. The scientists like Neil Tyson are our most important critics right now within this field and within what we're trying to do. And getting their attention and getting them to pay attention is, or should be, our primary mission. I don't know why people are, not getting more behind me and supporting me in this within the field, because we could really push through and make disclosure happen, but it's going to happen through our biggest critics, and those are the scientists. And that's what we're trying to do, is battle science using science. It's the only way you're going to do it. You're not going to battle, a bunch of scientists using, your Incan mummy that turned out to be a human with the DNA analysis, or your CE5 where, numerous people have reported, that drones or planes dropped flares or stuff that they saw. That you're paying tens of thousands of dollars to go out in the desert with Stephen Greer and see aliens, and they're flying drones around and shining lights in the sky to give these people what they paid for, basically. Well, not what they paid for, but the illusion of what they paid for. So the team I'm putting together is something that's much different, and it's like nothing I've never seen anything like this done before. And I'd like to forget any hard feelings of the past. I don't know why, but if I look up Stephen Greer on Twitter, I'm blocked. And that's just interesting because, a lot of people have me blocked because I criticize a lot of people. And we're criticisms too. I'm going to criticize you. So, and you know what? If you can't handle that, then you can't handle going up against Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson and arguing this scientifically. So you shouldn't be a person who's viewed as a figurehead or a leader within this community. It shouldn't happen. So, right. The Orion Project had the right idea. It just didn't have the right people. Okay. And I think Greer deserves a lot more historical credit for his role in the disclosure process. It's just a shame to see him fade out into obscurity, as the whole disclosure process unfolds itself nearly 20 years later. It's kind of sad because he did so much to get it started, but then I don't know what happened. Did he take money from bad people and go down a bad path and now is, kind of borderline disinformation? I don't know. But I just want to say, I wrote this letter to Stephen Greer, and I sent pretty much what I've said here to you. I'm reading it and adding a little bit of my own flair to it. But I sent this letter to him about 3 weeks ago, and I have not received a reply yet. And so that's why I said, if I don't receive a reply within a couple weeks, then I should then I'm going to make it public. And so now we're making it public and kind of calling Greer out, man. He paved the way, but now he's kind of just doing the whole field a disservice. But I'd like to get Stephen Greer. I'd like to get Stephen's attention, and I'd like to get his endorsement for what we're doing with APEC and technology disclosure. It would mean a lot. I think if we could get Greer to come on at APEC and talk to us about what happened with him and Orion Project, because Orion Project was kind of been my motivation for this. I'd like to know more about what happened with Greer and the Orion Project so that we don't repeat those same mistakes that he made with our own project moving forward. So yeah, Stephen, you've done so much, man, but you're really screwing this up royally lately, and you really ought to get your head together and check out what other people are doing. Throw your ego in the toilet because you're not the king shit of this field as much as you like to think you are. There are other people doing important work, and you need to step outside your little box and, Last time I wrote to you, you replied back that you weren't interested unless I was a huge media company that could get you tons of views. I was like, hey, I want to come on my show and talk about some stuff. And his response to me was, unless you got 1 million people watching you, I'm not interested. Like, he's only interested in large audiences where he can promote himself and what he does. And that's not how this works. We need to promote each other. When we do good work, we need to promote each other. When people do crappy work, we need to call each other out and really assess that work. You know what I'm saying? So exactly. We need to separate the people that are interested in doing this for the truth and the people who are, trying to get answers and trying to get information and trying to put that information together and also get others educated on that and have access to that information. And we need to sort that out from the people that are just trying to make freaking money. $2.2 million that Stephen Greer made for his little disclosure project and for this whole CSETI thing and looking for his search for aliens. Bro, if I had $2.2 million, if someone gave me $2.2 million right now, it would be over. Like, I would hire a web team to put all this information out, a database team to put this together. By the way, there is someone that created I got to get the link for that. Does anyone watching have the link for that? It was posted in the chat on the thing on Saturday about the there's a way to get papers, free papers. You can get basically any paper for free, even if it's behind a paywall or in a journal. You can get it for free on this one site now that someone put up. So it's like a Pirate Bay for physics papers and scientific papers, so that makes research free, so that a lot of people in the academic and the scientific community complain that there's too much information that's locked up behind paywalls. And when you're trying to do research, you don't have all that money to be paying for paywalls to just information should be like freely accessible and stuff. So it's wrong to charge for information. It's wrong to I monetize my videos just because I need to make a living off this, but I don't make crap. It's oh yeah, CL said you need to talk to Tom DeLonge. I heard he has some openings right now. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because the only people that left to the Stars Academy were let's see, Lou Elizondo and Steve Justice, right? So they still got their top scientists. They still got Jim Semivan and Hal Puthoff. They haven't left to the TTSA. So it's only the counterintelligence officer, Mr. Lou Elizondo, who had a career expert in counterintelligence, who left. This guy Christopher Miser now is on the board. I don't know who he is. He's a new face and a new name to me. So I'll have to check him out. But yeah, Tom DeLonge. What the heck is Tom doing? And what's interesting is that Hal Puthoff. We've been talking to Hal Puthoff in the Tim Ventura has been talking to Hal Puthoff. I would show you the email. I'm looking at it now. But Hal Puthoff's been communicating back and forth because of course we went and got all the DARPA people, all the STAFE conference people, all the Estes Park people, and pretty much we just did an open invite to every physicist in the propulsion and physics community who's ever worked on this stuff that we knew about or could find. And so we're right now working with a lot of people that were colleagues and people, personal friends and coworkers of Hal Puthoff, people that work with Hal, doing a lot of this research back in the day. So some of those guys are in our group right now, and but it's interesting because we have a lot of younger people that really know this stuff and are in some ways, I believe, ahead of whatever the work that Hal did. So I don't know where TTSA is at with whatever they're doing, but the group that we're putting together, it's really a shame that Hal turned us down to come and speak at our conference. And said he was too busy. I don't know what he's too busy with to come and speak at a conference like this. This should be what he I'd love to him to come and clear the air on so much stuff, because there's so many questions I have about Hal Puthoff, and of course, his physics work is really interesting, and I'd like to know more about where he got the inspiration for those papers on polarizable vacuum. And I know he worked with I know that he worked with Bernard Haish of Caltech, and those two, Bernard Haish and Hal Puthoff, did a lot of research on quantum vacuum engineering, space-time metrics, and just the question of what is inertia and how is inertia communicated. How does change in inertia communicated to the rest of the universe? How does it all work together? Like, what is inertia, essentially? What is mass? What is inertial mass? Why is the equivalence principle hold? And these sort of things. So it's quite interesting if you could unlock the physics of what matter is and what mass is and what inertia is, then you could control it. Find ways to manipulate nature in order to control those things. So this is a lot of the research that was done. Super interesting stuff. Why don't we get, I'm going to open this up right now to get some, let me see, I'm going to copy an invitation. I'm going to get some people from the chat to join in here on our call and to discuss Stephen Greer. I'd like to open this up because I want to keep this focused on Stephen Greer a little bit. This is really what the video started and wanted to be about. But it's important to mention TTSA because Greer's been super critical of TTSA, as a lot of other people have. They've kind of been seen as like show stealers. It's like, everyone, like Jimmy Church has said, like, ufology existed for years before TTSA ever came on the scenes, and it's going to be here, long after they're gone. And so, yeah, I just a lot of people didn't like how I didn't really like To the Stars Academy when they first came on the scene, and I still don't trust them at all because of the amount of CIA and counterintelligence experience on their team, as well as psychological warfare and operations, and because Hal Puthoff worked on a lot more than just physics. He worked on like the CIA's weird desk for science for decades, doing all sorts of stuff from spoon bending with Uri Geller and remote viewing in the 70s up until the later stuff in the 1980s and 90s with working with just all the weird stuff. Is basically he's been on the weird desk, and but he's not the only one. There's tons of other physicists who worked on this stuff and done much better work who don't have the kind of he's kind of ruined his reputation with that remote viewing stuff and his whole connection to Scientology, which I don't believe in at all. I think it's counterintelligence. I don't think there's anyone that has superpowers to remote view inside your bedroom and see your documents and see your, secrets. If anyone had that power, they'd be able to. It would just be like godlike, and it's psychological. I believe it's just to make people think that the government is doing these things, or they have real psychic spies from China trying to steal your mind's elation and whatnot. I don't believe in any of it because there's no evidence for it. There's some people who have had weird personal experiences, but I think that the CIA and the people that were involved with this kind of developed a technique for, giving people these experiences to convince them that, these weird, things exist and are real. And I think that whole being tied to the Skinwalker Ranch, I think that's a bunch of nonsense too. It's trying to wrap ufology up in mysticism and, this portals and all this weird stuff. So I just think that that's really what's going on there. And in any case, ET engineering, we have the database. It's going on. I'm going to post the link right now so people can join the Zoom call. And I want to get some people on here so that we can get some discussion going. Let's see. Yeah, it's interesting why Hal won't talk to our group. I hope he opens up and lightens up on that and, understands the skepticism I had of him and, TTSA early on. And if he's not willing to confront his skepticism and his critics, then, that says a lot. That says a lot about him, doesn't it? To the Stars Academy. Yeah, because we have people that are more, have done, work for the government. And if you want to if you're telling the truth, then you're going to be able to go up against a team like ours and hold your ground. But honestly, like, I wasn't super disappointed with the fact that, Hal Puthoff turned us down for speaking position at APEC, because really there's so many other scientists. We're so far beyond Hal Puthoff's, PV stuff and the last thing he's published or talked about on this. We can talk directly to the people that are working on the materials end of this. So Hal Puthoff in one of his presentations at I think it was another remote viewing and science conference, he was presenting on the aliens thing, and he brought up a paper, right, by and I have the paper right here. It's by a guy named Victor Podolsky, and Victor Podolsky is like, right up in Boston. He works right up in Boston, and they do some of this research right up in Boston, Lincoln Labs. There's a couple places right up in right close to me that do this research, and then some of the other guys are at a University of Connecticut that I was thinking about interviewing, like Nikodem Pawlowski, and where is Nikodem? I gotta find him now. But yeah, these guys are all local, and these are the real material scientists working on actually building these metamaterials and designing the material science end of this technology, which is where we're at right now. Really, realistically, we're beyond the idea of that we need, theory. We have enough of the theory. We know general. We had the guy on from quantum gravity research, really bringing us back on track with that. We need to focus on real physics, general relativity, and understanding, what space-time is and how space-time bends according to, these laws, about how quantum mechanics bends space-time. So anyone get that link? I posted it, and then I don't see anyone hopping in for the meeting, but you're welcome to come on and ask any questions you want, or share any information, or join the discussion on Stephen Greer. So please join that Zoom conference link and jump on here if you want to get on and talk about this. I'd like to hear some other people's thoughts. So, yeah, Lou Elizondo is going on Fade to Black tonight at 7 p.m. He's going to be on Jimmy Church. So we can check out that. It's interesting that he didn't do very many interviews the whole time he's with TTSA, and then he breaks off of TTSA, and now he's running around doing all these interviews, and he's like the only guy talking. And kind of, I don't know, Elizondo's an interesting guy. But I just can't get over that he is a career, his career is in counterintelligence, okay? Counterintelligence is, not the people that I really want to talk to. I'm not interested in, knowing what a counterintelligence person has to say, because that's what you do, is try to get people to believe the wrong things. And figure out what they know, and then try to get them to know other stuff, or not pay attention to the people who are talking about real stuff. And that's what counterintelligence people do. I really would not want to interview Lou Elizondo, because we have real scientists with real information that we're talking to. So yeah, that's cool though. It's an interesting side of this. Jimmy's an interesting guy. Again, So blah 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 blah. Any of this ET physics hasn't been accepted yet. Okay, this is not ET physics. This is theory of everything. It's where we're at right now with physics. Like quantum gravity research. That was awesome having that guy on, David Chester last, and we're going to be talking to him soon and doing more follow-ups with these guys in this group, because these guys are doing some very interesting research and have some very interesting theories, which could, relate to what we're trying to do with physics. So yeah, it's about, just like Brian Keaton. Dr. Brian Keaton is another one. Dr. Brian Keating, he's been having a lot of interesting podcasts with guys like Eric Weinstein, who's geometric unity theory, and this guy Garrett Lisi. These two streams, definitely go check out this one if with Eric Weinstein and Garrett Lisi, where they talk about theories of everything and experiments and all that stuff. This one is the one to watch. See, 42K views. There's a reason for that. This one's loaded, solid with good material. I would love to get these guys on to talk to them and pick their brains. I'd love to put a separate panel together from our engineering and our experimental side with what we're trying to do with anti-gravity, and have just a pure physics theoretics side that just deals with this theory of everything and different theories of everything, different ideas for theories of it. There's a very small community of people who are even attempting to work on this, as there was, throughout history. The people that worked on grand unified field theory were very, very small amount of people. The other guy would be great to talk to, but I don't think he'll come on, was who's the dude? I forget his name. There's a bunch of people, but we're trying to see who will come on, who's willing to talk to us, and I think these material scientists who are very much lesser known out in the public range of things, unless they're the type of people that prefer to be less well known. But I hope that there's some of them out there, because they're doing great work, and I think that we can find some of them who will want to get some sort of recognition for the great work that they're doing. So it would be great to I've already been reaching out to some of the metamaterials groups on Facebook and other places to get more metamaterials experts and optics people to come up. Maybe we'll start a whole new kind of side of APEC that just deals with material science and optics engineering, because that, I believe, is a huge part of where this field is going to go with in the future, optics engineering and space-time metrics. Randall Carlson. Yeah, most of the people that have the public eye right now are some of them not legitimate people. Most of the legitimate people just are, you won't even know who their names or people that are doing the real research and the real work out there, the real smart people that I want to talk to. They're not out there in the public line. The guys that are the loudest usually know the least, from what I've found. But anyone joining yet? All right, we got one guy, Arch. Anyone else want to join? I'm gonna copy the invite link. Please come on, join and join the Zoom call. Come ask questions. I'm gonna check it every once in a while to see new admins. So if you go in the waiting room, just hang out there, and we'll be right. I'll be right there to let you in shortly. Just wait. And so join if you want to come on and ask some questions and talk about, your opinions on Stephen Greer at disclosure. Arch, are you there? We got Gabriel. All right, guys. Anytime you want to unmute your mic and join. It doesn't look like Arch had a mic, so he jumped out. But Gabe, thanks for coming on, man. And I know Dan was thinking. I wanted to invite Dan on too. Maybe we'll end this if we don't get too many people that are talkative joining our Zoom chat. But oh man, we had one guy and then he dropped out. I don't know what happened to him. But anyways, this was super interesting. This tax filing, it just shows you that Greer has made a ton of money on UFOs, and he's not really given a lot of it back to the field to, doing stuff with the money, which is sad. I'm going to be doing some videos here shortly and interviewing some more people. I got a better camera recently. I upgraded some of my setup. Check this guy out. Let me just fix my screen so I can go full screen on this. Oh, am I full screen the whole time? I've been full screen this whole time. You guys haven't even seen the crap up on my screen. Damn it. That's why I need someone to run transitions for me. I've been showing stuff up on my screen this whole time, and you guys haven't even seen it. That's my new camera. Badass new toy. We're going to be able to shoot some real high-quality video with this. I got a gimbal for it, too, like a real sick gimbal. So we're going to be able to do some shit. Man, all right, so I want to show you guys a couple things. So APEC. Here's a link to APEC. I've been the star of the show the whole damn time. I didn't even realize it. I thought you guys could see my screen. Oh well. Anyone wants to join? In any case, boom. Yeah, I should get a telescopic lens so I can do some zooming and stuff. What I want to get is a high-speed camera and do some high-speed photography. That would be wicked badass, dude. This one can do, I think, like 120 frames a second in 720p. So you can get some, decent high-speed. It's not like one of these high-speed cameras, though, man. This one can do, I think, like 100. How much is this bad boy? 720p. Let's see. So, what do we got here? High-speed camera. Micro scan, $1,000. That's some that aren't bad, I don't think you gotta. I want something that has like mega high frames a second, though. You know what I mean? Mr. Marley.
What up? Can you hear me?
Put my headphones on.
Can you hear me?
There, I can hear you. Oh my God, you're coming through my headphones. Let me just make sure the audience can hear you. Can you talk?
What up? Yeah, actually, I sent you a couple of questions in the chat. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on Salvador Pais and his Pais effect that they've been doing all the public patents for, but it seems like it's just a bunch of bullshit. But apparently the Navy has spent close to $1 million on this program over 3 or 4 years. And I was wondering if you followed any of that or not.
Yeah,
the Drive has been doing some great articles on it recently.
Yep, the Drive, Brett Tingley. You know what? We're trying to get. I've been talking to Brett on Twitter, and he actually reached out to me a while back and wanted to. I gotta get you on the screen so you can do that again. There you go. So we actually we talked to Brett Tingley of. A little skeptical of that when it first came out too. I'm like, this isn't I know it's not the only work that they're doing into this kind of related stuff. All right. There's a lot of interesting things that are work research that's being done related to these smart skin technologies. And this was only, I think, some of it. I know that there's more going on with this, as I've shown John Wheeler. John Archibald Wheeler was involved with a lot of these programs from the get-go, going back to the 1950s when he worked with Einstein on some of the founding theories of quantum gravity. And we're talking about Cecil DeWitt and Bryce DeWitt, the husband and wife team there that did so much research with Battelle and also with GE into these rotating, superconductors, and also rotating mercury and plasmas and that kind of stuff with the torsion side of this, which there's lots of information that's coming out now where we're really linking it to hardcore theoretical physics, which is the important part, because this is interesting. But if you don't have like the real physics of how this stuff works, what real good is it? Because there's more than one way to skin a cat, and that's what I look at is what's going on with this Pays patent, right? Because he's got this. Where's the one? It's the room temperature superconductor. And it's this crystal. It's part of the skin coating patent, but it's this piezoelectric. I think it's actually a zirconium glass that they use, and it's vibrated and to create this piezoelectric effect, which produces these condensed, states within the material, which produces room temperature superconductivity. And that's very similar to the squeezed light and the polariton condensate research that I was talking about. Maybe a couple months before that Pays stuff came out, I was getting into some of this stuff, and I've linked the squeezed light stuff, to 30 years ago in 1985 with these guys at University of Rochester, and Hal Puthoff in one of his lectures. I got to go find it and clip it up. I have it on my computer somewhere, but in one of his lectures from the 90s, Hal Puthoff says there was a major breakthrough that happened in 1985 or 1984. But he never explains what that breakthrough was or really gets into details. He's really tight-lipped about it. He just says there was a breakthrough, and then he like kind of stops, and he's like, I shouldn't have said more. I said too much, already, and he doesn't go into it in more depth. But I believe that breakthrough was what happened here with the first light condensate that they created at University of Rochester in 84, 85, because it's directly connected to the Pays patents. It's very similar to what Pays is describing in his his setup patent. Some of the core physics of what's going on here are still there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's now that you point that out, one of the things that the drive pointed out was that the reason why they publicly filed those patents instead of privately, like the Navy or the Department of Defense usually does, it was almost like they were trying to stake a claim because they were suspicious of Russia and or the Chinese having similar technologies, which I thought was interesting of why they would post those patents publicly, but at the same time, those, since they're posted publicly, they've been, come under a lot of scrutiny too.
So this is a paper from June 19th, 2018, and it's called Actively Tunable Slow Light in a Terahertz Hybrid Metagraphene Metamaterial. And it's a Chinese paper. It was from the School of Physics and Electronics Information at Hubei University of Education in Wuhan, and also the University of Science, the Haozhong University of Science and Technology in Wuhan, also the Yangtze Normal University in Chongqing, and also the Department of Physics at New Mexico State University. So their Chinese are doing lots of research. They're almost comparable to us right now with some of the stuff that they're working on with slow tunable trapped light in terahertz materials, which is again directly related to the research that we've that even To the Stars Academy was talking about. Because remember, Tom DeLonge on Joe Rogan kind of was talking about these terahertz materials and couldn't describe much about the physics, and really butchered it up on Joe Rogan. And then we didn't really hear much of that anymore, and that was kind of weird. It was like, did he do that to like make it look like silliness so that when other people wouldn't pay attention? Because I didn't pay attention to it for a while. I was like, what the heck is this nonsense? But then as I started getting more into the research, I realized, holy crap, there's a ton of people really taking this seriously. What's interesting, that quartz material, that one of the guys on our team is Ron Kita, who's been involved. Ron Kita goes back years. I need to get Ron on for a separate talk too. I've been trying to coordinate that. I don't know. We need to work on that. But he's got a company called Chirolex that holds a bunch of patents and stuff. And Chirolex is based on he does a lot of research that he's done into electrets and chiral quartz. So electrets and chiral quartz. So an electret and then also chiral quartz. So quartz has two chiralities, and chirality is your curl, your spin. So it's either left-handed or right-handed. So when they have like right-handed or left-handed quartz with this this specially made quartz crystals, it's kind of like this piezoelectric effect described in the Pays patent, but it produces a field that's more tuned to gravity, to a gravity wave, because apparently gravity waves are kind of like these. They're chirally polarized, they're rotationally polarized waves, because everything on gravity is like a rotation around another body. You can, every time there's gravity, it's one thing rotating around another body. So there's chirality that's involved in the core physics of that momentum relation, and I believe that what they're doing is breaking the symmetry of space-time with using these materials to generate these quantum vacuum interruptions, or these quantum wall in the quantum vacuum, which it basically what you're trying to do is break the information flow across the boundary, so that the information about inertia, you can control the way that the inertial information is being translated from your object to the rest of the universe in order to warp those metrics. But yeah, I really think that we're close. I love that you brought up the Pays patent and wanted to talk about that and connect this, because I think that there's a lot of core physics here that are very, very similar. Again, with his patent on where's the Pays patent on the superconductor, right? So also you can look up room temperature superconductors, right? Room temperature superconductors have actually, so this is the Navy patent for the room temperature superconductor that they made. This was Troy Carter on TechLink. Has this insulator core with this RTSC metallic wire and this PZT metallic coating. So that PZT is a lead zirconate titanate. Yeah, lead zirconate titanate. Interesting material. It's a coating deposited by vacuum evaporation with a thickness of the London penetration depth and polarized after deposition. They have an electromagnetic coil around there, which produces a magnetic field across the crystal, and then apparently they do something to it to vibrate the crystal, or they put a pulse current source on it, and that pulse current source turns the thing superconductor. What's interesting is that what I believe is happening, or could be happening, is you can find evidence of superconductivity in polariton condensates. And polariton condensates are kind of an interesting thing. I think that could be possibly what's appearing in these experiments, and possibly what's also appearing in these other squeeze light experiments. Although this is where I want to start getting more experts in this line of work and the physics of this kind of stuff on to talk to us and kind of break this down to us, because my understanding of this is definitely not as detailed or in depth as what these people know, and they could certainly explain and describe. So this is what my goal is within the year, is starting to bring more of these researchers on. I'd love to get Sal Pays on if he would be willing. I don't know how much he can talk about or what he can talk about, but there's lots of other researchers internationally who are working on this research that we are going to reach out to and hope to talk to within this year. So anyone else? Let me see. I'm sorry for, if you had any other questions, man, jump on. Let's get Billy on here to join. Hey, Billy, did you have a question? You'll have to set your mic up and hook it up.
Hey, Jeremy, can you hear me okay?
Hey, Bill, we can hear you.
Good. So yeah, my comment was probably mostly around Dr. Greer and kind of like you, I read your letter to him. It's kind of sad that that conference happened right before 9/11 because, he had a lot of good things to say in that conference and disclosed a lot of information that we've come to find out is all true. My question is, what's your opinion on Dr. Greer's current work? Because it seems like, you know, he's calling UFOs and remote calling and things like that. I'm curious about what do you think about that?
Yeah, this whole thing with I don't know if it's going to give us scientific credibility within the scientific world. Like he created his own CSETI, right? And then he's got this own group that they go and summon UFOs, and they're trying to make contact with UFOs, although they just like a light in the sky. And I don't know that they've made, there's no like contact. I don't know that they're making contact with actual aliens or doing this. And of course, the physics community and the scientific community, the skeptics like Seth Shostak's not taking this seriously, is he? So I don't know what good it's doing the greater community and our efforts to bring disclosure out to the public. So that's my only criticisms of what he's doing right now with that. And if he's really contacting aliens, then we should be trying to figure out some way to prove that scientifically or come up with evidence for that. It just seems like a money-making scheme to me, to bring a bunch of people who believe in this stuff. They'll pay you 20 grand to bring them out in the desert and fly a bunch of drones around, and I don't know, who knows what. But Stephen Greer, yeah, that's what he's been doing recently. I don't know why he blocked me on Facebook. I did make a video criticizing him because he just comes on RT and says he makes these bold, robust claims with no evidence to back them up whatsoever, and it's not doing this. He's not really done the field a good service in the past few years. As much as he really set it off on a strong foot in 2001. And then, everything got totally interrupted and messed up with 9/11. There's another interesting that you mentioned that point about 9/11 and the sequence of events. There was a lot of stuff that was supposed to happen, in September of 2001 with regards to UFO disclosure. Where's that thing that I found recently? I got to get this on. So they were supposed to do a bunch of disclose a whole bunch of documents, and there was supposed to be a like a whole push within the administration to and I don't know if it was just the Bush administration making these claims in order to appeal to more voters within the conspiracy community and the UFO community, but I had found this thing about UFO. That wasn't the Gary McKinnon thing. There was something else I found that was supposed to come out like that year for UFOs, and it didn't because 9/11 happened, and it just took the whole world in a completely other direction. And I can't find it now. It's probably hidden, and you're not gonna find it. But when I do find it, I'm gonna definitely post it.
Well, they definitely were preparing us in the media. Well, maybe not the media, but in Hollywood around that time. We had Men in Black, Independence Day. We had tons of space-related
That's very true. Yeah, Men in
movies
Black
coming at us about that time.
Yeah, looked like they were really prepping us for a lot of that stuff. Men in Black was 97, and then I remember Independence Day. Yeah, that's really interesting. You mentioned that. It's also kind of like, it also kind of reminds me of that Carol Rawson video that I have. Dr. Carol Rawson, who's one of the Disclosure Project witnesses, that I posted a video of her because she had worked or served under this as the spokesperson, I think, for Werner von Braun for a period of time. So she was like a public spokesperson for von Braun, and that
Mhm.
whole statement about, that von Braun said to her, and she said it right before 9/11. She said, first it will be the terrorists, and then after the terrorists, it's going to be the alien invasion. So it's like they were preparing us for the alien stuff, and then the terrorists happen, and then they, and then it's like they see how long they can make that whole thing, drag that whole war on terror out. We're still, fighting the war on terror, but it's I don't know. I don't know what happened to ISIS and Al Qaeda in the last 3 to 4 years under the Trump administration, but I mean, some of the people that
I think that we're definitely shifting outward. So, we created Space Force. We see all countries exploring and sending craft. So there's definitely a push outward, which would align with what she said, and kind of with what we're seeing, with UFO disclosure, and a shift to, oh no, maybe the spooky person is out in space now, so we have to protect from it, and yada yada yada.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the start of a shift towards the military-industrial the military-industrial complex is definitely a force to be reckoned with when it comes to the money and the power of where everything lies within this field. And I think the best thing that we can do is just push science. And it's cool that we got a Space Force, but I want to just push the science and get the scientists out there, because there's a lot of problems that we also need to solve as a species that require a coordinated effort of scientific. I look back to the Manhattan Project and what had happened.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Leslie Groves, and what the military did there. It was an unprecedented growth in science. Because it was physics was physicists were finally getting funding to do research that they deserved to do. So much good things. Even though the Manhattan Project produced the atomic weapons, right, and opened the world up to mutually assured destruction and all sorts of other horrors. The research that was done, the physics research that was done on the Manhattan Project, and the money that went into it, was huge. It definitely helped us in more ways. It's definitely helped us in more ways than it's, hurt us so far. Unless we kill ourselves and there's a nuclear war, then it's not good. But Kennedy did a good job in the 60s of, putting the reins on the CIA and steering us away from a nuclear war, like would have happened in Cuba with the Cuban Missile Crisis, So there's a lot of evidence that, we could have destroyed ourselves back then. And something, and then there's also evidence that something's been preventing us or kind of guiding us along the way to prevent us from destroying ourselves. It's almost,
right, multiple times.
yeah, because they had that whole thing with the bent waters. And then I guess the Russians had their own incident where the UFOs came and shut their nukes down and stuff too. So this is... back to the science end of this is that what we need is a new Manhattan Project, like Jack Sarfati said on last weekend's episode. We need a new Manhattan Project. We need massive government funding for research in physics right now. We're on the verge of the next, big discovery and the big breakthrough right now with all this stuff, with all these, new ways of thinking about entanglement and light and information exchanges and the core of physics. Who's this? We're getting a Skype call too. Okay, now we're getting... Geez, I hope this doesn't crash my computer with Skype and Zoom running at the same time. DM, you're live, man. You have a question? You're live on air. Did you have a question? He's not there. All right. I don't know what happened there, man, but You still there on Zoom, Billy?
Yeah, I think you're straight on point, Jeremy. That bringing in Dr. Greer with what he's doing and aligning that with some science would be good. Willing to communicate with you and start moving that forward. That's the type of unity that needs to occur on this front. I totally agree with what you're saying about science and physics, and probably like to get your opinion on some of the other people who have big podcasts who are talking about these things as well. And I know that there's a person that thinks that the education system is kind of set up to burden students and essentially kind of exploit doctoral students and get all of their knowledge and benefit the university, which in turn benefits corporations. So I think that is a broken thing, and I kind of commend you for being like almost an independent scientist, and I think we need more people like you.
Right. And, some people who criticize me because they're like, oh, you're a career contractor and you're not a career scientist. And, why are you trying to, tell scientists what to do with their lives and what they should be doing? And, I guess I'm not trying to tell anyone what to do. I'm just making suggestions more than anything. But realistically, the system is broken from the inside out. It's not, it's based on money, it's based on profits, and it's based on greed. And until that changes, I don't think humanity has, we're not going to have a chance of survival. And that, I'm here doing this because I believe in humanity and our survival. And I think that the bureaucratics and the systematic, normal, acceptable way of doing things is completely backwards. It's not going. We're going on a disaster path if we continue with the way that we run our economy and with the way we run the world. Honestly, this is when this information and this technology comes out, because there's been lots of people. Why are you calling? How are you still calling me when I shut Skype down? I brought you on. You said nothing, and I hung up on you. All right, let's exit, close Skype. There we go. Anyways, yeah, if you want to join, there's a Zoom link on the Zoom call right here, guys, and you can join Zoom. And if you don't have Zoom, then tough shit. All right, I'm not using Skype. So anyways, let's talk about this. Let's talk back about space-time modification weapons. Yes, so this is what I was talking about. Weapons. So we were talking on the last call on Saturday about the ability to transport. Transportation's a real issue, right? So it's not that we don't have a lack of food. There's plenty of food. It's just getting to the places it needs to get to, and then transporting stuff around, and the amount of energy it takes us to transport stuff. That's a big part of one of our biggest problems economically and also technologically is transportation. What this technology would do is open up transportation on and to a whole nother level. If this technology is, if it's, and that's a problem, because Jack Sarfati's pointed out, well, what are you transporting? Are you transporting food from here to there instantaneously, like through, with these warp drives? Or are you going to, because you could also transport just as easily, you could transport a nuclear weapon anywhere in the world that you want. And that's a problem, right? So as China and Russia begin to pursue this technology, and as this technology emerges into the world theater in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to open up the world to a whole nother level of, the idea of mutually assured destruction. And I think this needs to be the point where we have serious disarmament talks between the U.S. and the Soviet Union and Iran and even North Korea, who's pursuing nuclear weapons, and Israel that has nuclear weapons, and all these countries that have nukes, France, there needs to be some kind of, regulation or understanding. Because once you have this ability I mean, this takes ICBMs out of the picture when you can transport things on a warp drive at Mach 18, as some of these high speed craft can go. Like this is a whole nother level of and it's I guarantee you that this is the first thing that they looked for to try to develop with this technology were these abilities, which is sad. It's sad for humanity that they have so much money and that the funding is being used for this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? To generate threats, to create tension and build up, tension so that you can create more threats, so that you can get more money for more, funding. And meanwhile, the whole world's turning into this, the secrecy and the human rights violations that are occurring have turned like the whole world against itself. There's riots, there's people rioting against their governments all over the world, and they were really afraid that it was going to happen here. That's why the National Guard's in D.C. until March, because they know, I'm not saying that, it's just crazy what's going on with everything in the world right now, man. But yeah, I think that what needs to, because what we're trying to do is set up we have international group. All right, there's people from all over the world, and this is an open conference. It's not, this is open to everyone. So what we kind of want to do is we realize that if we can't even get along with ourselves and our other countries, in the world, then how are we ever going to get along with aliens and exist in a world that's bigger than this tiny one that we can't even agree and we fight over? How are we going to fight over the world's big? There's plenty of place for us to all live and coexist and stuff. But if we're the kind of, if we just think that aliens are watching us right now, that we've attracted them with the radiation signature that we sent up with the Trinity test since at least 1945, that radiation's been, broadcasting out to the universe saying, hey, we're here. We've reached, technological maturity. It's only going to be about 100 years from, this point until we have warp drives, In fact, it probably wouldn't have been that long. It probably would have came a lot sooner if we didn't have all the serious issues with our government and everything. So that I feel like we would have had this technology. We should have had this technology a lot sooner. Just think of the 60s, like all the tests, like the Jetsons, man. They predicted all this stuff. They predict, we were predicting this stuff would happen by 2010 was a Space Odyssey's, view of some of this stuff. But anyways, it's a shame that we're not further along than we should be, but we definitely, broadcast our presence here to the entire universe with blasting off the first nuclear weapon. And, I think there's quite a bit of evidence that we attracted stuff right immediately after that, within the 3 years after the Trinity test in 1945, right? Because 1947 we had Roswell and a whole wave of UFO sightings and incidents.
Yeah, I mean, if you just do a little bit of simple math on that, if you attracted the attention of something and they showed up that quickly, and the distances that we understand now, yeah, we're ants to them, and really until we can get ourselves together. Yeah.
We're dangerous ants that built enough. We've massed enough weapons to kill our entire planet and ourselves and all the species of life that exist on it. And once we
if an anthill gets snuffed out, a dog doesn't care that's 100 meters away. So really, we're insignificant.
Right, and I think that there is someone protecting the Earth, right? Because this is a massively valuable biological resource. There's a massive biodiversity on Earth. DNA and molecular molecules like DNA, the information that's stored in DNA, is one of the hardest things to create. You think if you have advanced physics, you can go and harvest stars. You get a Z machine and you got infinite energy, right? So with the Z machine and between a Z machine, which can basically take any element and turn it into any other element, through transmutation and stuff, and combined with enough limitless energy, so you don't have to worry about the energy it requires to do that. So you can take asteroids or take anything and build anything. So they're not interested in, Earth for its gold or its natural, like the Anunnaki theory that we're just here to harvest the gold and then they're going to come down and kill us all and just take all the gold. They don't care about gold. There's plenty of gold there's enough gold on meteorites and asteroids just floating out in space. They don't need to come here for gold. All right. They come here, I believe, this is what makes the most sense to me, is DNA. There's so much information stored in DNA. It beats the best computer chip you could possibly imagine as far as, compact information storage, right? So if you were going...
Yeah, that's a great point, yeah.
So one of the things, you ever heard of gene drives?
No.
So a gene drive is if I were to take genetic code and write my own code, right? Then I could insert this as latent DNA that's inactive or recombinant, DNA that doesn't matter. It's junk DNA. There's tons of junk DNA in all of us, right? We have junk DNA that's just sitting there. It doesn't do anything. It's just code that it's not important, right? So it's very interesting that you could, this would be a way to put information inside of and store it long term somewhere, right? I think we should start looking in data for gene drives. The biology side of search for extraterrestrial life should start looking in gene drives for evidence of extraterrestrial life. Because, for example, the ginkgo tree, right? One of the oldest species of on the planet, right? It's a tree, plant species, completely ancient, and it has one of the largest DNA chains of any known organism, which is weird because it's so old and it has such a long DNA chain. So there's some theorists out there that believe that there could be gene drive. It could be a gene drive inside. Aliens could have come here millions of years ago, found this one tree, and put a download onto the DNA, and it would stay there and for generations and years. You know what I mean? Very interesting theory. But
yeah, it's almost like you would need to crack the code.
There's a big code there. There's a lot of work to be done here.
But it boils down to ones and zeros, and
well, no,
that
there's
is
4
something.
bits. There's DT and AN, so like there's 4 bits in a DNA code.
Okay, yeah, there
so
we
it's
go.
not just ones and zeros. It's 0 through 0, 1, 2, and 3. 4 bits. So it's a very interesting code. I think that this is what aliens are after, and this is what they're protecting more of anything, This is why they prevented us from killing ourselves and all the biodiversity on our planet. It's worth just so much, and this stuff's so hard to create. If you kill it all, this took billions of years to create, to get to the, from simple nucleic acids and organisms to get to this point of these chains. You know what I mean? So that's irreplaceable. And they're all different. I bet you on all different planets and stuff and out in space, these codes and these chains are just all different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a card catalog of life, each planet.
Right. It's that's where I think the real information is, and that's what I think that they're really after. That's what I'd be after. But yeah, you were right about quantum non-locality in our best theoretical models of physics. Like time and space are basically an illusion. And, if we can figure out the ways of the universe, we could warp space so that we can get around, create, warp those illusions to produce, to exchange information anywhere we want to, basically, if we know the right physics. And I think that is definitely how they get here. That definitely doesn't take them billions of light years. They can go faster than the speed of light as far as... I don't know how that works on much bigger levels, but I think that they can travel, from point to point. Again, if that technology exists, it's got to be something interesting. But I really and I believe it does. So that's what we're hopefully searching for and bringing this like search for extraterrestrial life to a different level. But yeah, the gene drives are super interesting because it's like there's so much information on DNA that we still don't understand and know about. It's a whole nother frontier that needs to be explored. Anyone else want to join? I'm going to post the link one more time in the chat so people can join the Zoom call. And yeah, interesting that we're all in the Matrix. It's all a game, a thought experiment. The Utah Tech CEO with no history of mental illness found in the back seat of a California rental car days after going missing. Wow.
Yeah, I heard about that whenever that happened. I thought it was interesting because she ended up in the back seat of her car and passed away that way. So it was very suspicious circumstances around that lady.
Huh, I hadn't heard of that one. That's interesting. It's weird, man. I wonder how many people are really involved with this on a different level behind the scenes too. It makes me wonder because I know there's Silicon Valley tech startups and stuff that were interested in this a couple of years ago, and there hasn't been much information going out of them. Lots of information going in, but not much coming out. And those people, they followed my stuff and for a while, but I haven't seen much coming back from them. So it's curious. But again, yeah, I don't know, man. What else? Stephen Greer, man. You think the future is? I hope he have his change of heart and decides, that he can come and decides to come on our show, man. I really hope so, because that would be awesome to have him come on and talk about the Orion project and what happened.
Yeah,
with
I
that.
mean, if you're summoning UFOs, if you have the ability to communicate even at the most primitive level, then you should share that at least with the science community, and you can still charge other people who want to do it, but at least let some scientists come and try to get some verifiable, observations out of it. That's all that I could think of with Dr. Greer. Like I said, it was eye-opening when it happened in the disclosure in 2001, but the more recent work is kind of a little bit of woo in my opinion. That's all.
You know what's weird, man? When I was at LA in Alien Con out in LA, we met this dude that came in and he said, "Oh, hey, did you know about Disclosure Fest too?" And I was like, "What's Disclosure Fest?" Like, it's going on today too. Apparently, like, I don't know. This guy told me that there's this dude out in LA who's kind of like almost like a bum or whatever. But he's like this dude out in LA and he summons UFOs with his mind. And he had this Disclosure Fest in this park, and he had invited a bunch of people over, and they sat and meditated, and then all these lights. He said they were all sitting around meditating, and then all these lights appeared in the sky, like right over at downtown, like L.A., and they were flying around. And I was like, why wasn't I here for this? I was at Alien Con down the street inside a building, And I'm like, you're telling me you just summon these things? I've never seen a UFO in my life, man. And now there's people out there that can do this and summon them. And apparently this guy does it. There's videos of him doing it. I can't find him now, but it was called they said it was called Disclosure Fest. Robert Bingham. I think that's the guy's name. Robert Bingham. Yeah, this is the dude, the man who summons UFOs. So, man, I'd like to hook up with these people and bring some scientific equipment,
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen Robert or not, but I have seen Dr. Greer and I think one or two others that just happen to be kind of in Area 51, Nevada desert locations. But just what we know about technology and the military having that technology usually 20 to 40 years prior to the civilian population. It could be drones, it could be micro drones, all that kind of stuff.
This dude looks like he gets a bunch of party balloons and has his friend. He goes out and gets a bunch of people, and then he releases a bunch of party balloons and films them. I don't know, man. Like, I've tried to think of this from a rational, like, scientific standpoint. If I can go out there with optical equipment and recording equipment, especially something that records, other frequencies of electromagnetic spectrums, like microwaves and stuff, for example, and then also polarizing filters and polarizing lenses to see if there's, any sort of polarized waves going on. These are kind of things that I'd like to do if, he's in fact summoning real UFOs. I could bring some equipment out there and collect some data. But, these videos, it looks like a bunch of, he just releasing a bunch of party balloons. So I don't know. Again, I'm skeptical, but I'm open-minded. If you can summon UFOs for real, man, I'll come down and check it out. Like if you're confident and you say you can do this. And
yeah, I think most scientific people would agree with you there, Jeremy.
Yeah, so good. Let's check it out. Let's keep open-minded to it and keep open. I'm much more open-minded to a lot of things, these days than I was before. But again, I'm skeptical. You have to be skeptical because otherwise your head's gonna fall off and you're just gonna believe anything. And there's lots of people out there ready to sell you a belief system. So
yeah, that's usually if with these UFOs specifically is that there's some type of money attached to it. No, I don't know if that's just to pay for that person's expenses to get them to where they need to do the viewing or the calling, but it's still kind of fishy, But it also, I've heard people say that you can learn it yourself. So, I don't know if that's really something that you should go about, trying to do that in a microcosm.
The last thing I read on Orion Project is that Greer had raised like about $1 million and that they had not like really nothing to show for it. I don't know what he did with that $1 million that he raised for this Orion Project or where he got that kind of money, But
yeah.
Damn, like if I can find these kind of people, man, send them my way, like send them our way, like show them what we're trying to do or what we are doing. So I don't know. That's just crazy, dude. In any case, we're in a simulation. Okay, so this whole question of do I believe we're in a simulation, right? My real question is I don't know. I don't think it's really a simulation. I think it's a real universe, right? I don't think it's running on some alien's computer and some other thing somewhere. But the fact is that it doesn't really matter if it's a real simulation on a computer or if it's we understand the code, then it doesn't matter if it's a simulation or not, because if we understand the core code of physics, like this theory of everything that we're looking for, right? If we understand that core, like Delta Group Engineering, these guys are one of the groups working on this, right? So if we understand this core code of the universe, that's like the source code for the language that creates the simulation. Right? Even if it's a simulation or not, it's simulated. If we can simulate it with mathematics and create a model of it that works, on par with the real, the real thing, then we can find ways to, manipulate the model. And that's really
exactly. Yeah. We need to understand it before we can start.
Right. So it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if it's a simulation or not, because we just need to understand what the code is, and then it doesn't really matter if if it's all simulated, because realistically what we're here for is to do just this, I believe. Well, honestly, what in the long run of time and everything, think 1 million years from now, in 1 million years from today, like, what difference does your family and your life right now make in the long term? I just want to ask people that question. Like, what are we here for? If it's all gonna, in 1 million years, it's all gonna be like basically forgotten. If we even make it that long, if humans even make it that long and keep even the records are gonna be like.
I agree. I think that's part of the problem is that we're asking the question of why we are here when we're the ones here. So we have no way of knowing why we're here. It's kind of a big mind melt, but I think that doesn't really matter. Who cares why we're here? The fact is we're here. So let's
right. It doesn't matter if it's a simulation. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If it's a created world, a simulated world.
Yeah. And all that really matters is the here and now and what we can do with the here and now, which is really, it's even though you think it like in the long term, it doesn't matter, it doesn't mean anything. It's really important for right now. And for a lot of people that are real people that have I believe have real feelings, because I have real feelings. I have real, consciousness, and I like to believe that everyone else does too, and shares some aspect of that, even though we're all different.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. As the population of the planet grows, we've got more people who think that way than less people think that way, and it starts to kind of change the whole planet's vibe. I know that's kind of, talking at a woo-woo level, but the
Well,
consciousness of the planet and how they feel and how they think definitely, I think, is something that can be impacted.
I love those the connectivity graphs. You ever seen those graphing apps and stuff that show you how everything's connected with these networks and stuff? Now I love that whole
Yeah.
view of everything, and that's why I love that Stephen Wolfram's idea for how to build a universe, because it's all connections. It's all just how this is connected to that. And no, this isn't connected to that, but it is like this, and that's how our brains work to store information. Everyone has neurons, right? It doesn't matter how many neurons you have, really. It's the connections. I mean, it kind of does. You kind of need, like, I think, a couple million anyway to get somewhere. But it really matters the connections between those neurons is how information's stored in the human brain, And I think that realizing that we're all connected, and some of these contact experiences that really resonated with me and stuck with me, because where some of these people, a lot of the people that get contacted by aliens and get messages from aliens, basically have this same message that everything is connected. Every action that you take, like, affects everything else. And that's a powerful statement. I really believe that, and I really think that changed the way that I look at my life and the way that I live my life. Because you realize how profound every moment is, because it's all connected. Because this one moment in time, even though in a million years, it could all be different, right? You're setting up everything for that future. Your actions now are going to be amplified, and every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? So every action that you take with your life during this time is going to affect the universe and how it is and how it unfolds a million years from now. And a million years, the effects of your tiny little contributions will be amplified, a million times, if not more. So it's really, about understanding that network, understanding
I
that.
like those connection pictures. They fall through into a lot of different things, like network connectivity. When you look at the stars, you see something like that. When they show your brain firing, it starts to look like that. So those connectivities go through so many places in our life, all the way down to our body,
Absolutely.
our biological level. And like you said, not only what we do now will go forward through our generations, but also our molecules will continue to go forward as well. So, a piece of carbon here and a piece of carbon there, a million years from now, who knows what it might be.
I think, yeah, who knows? And I think our point is, what I like to focus on is isolating bad points on the matrix, and breaking off those connections and isolating all that bad information and all that bad stuff, and then focusing on the good stuff that builds positive things and constructive things. And that's sort of like how I have to tune my brain sometimes, because there's so much negativity in the world all around us, and it's so hard to, like, not focus on that and not get sucked into that. And I have had a huge problem with this myself. And the way I really look at it is through this. It's really helped me to, understand that, yeah, it's all important, it's all connected, and we need negativity, because without negativity, there wouldn't be positivity. You wouldn't have. It's all about the wave mechanics. It's all about the ride. It's all about the ups and downs. And if everything was just great and we lived in heaven, right? 'Cause this whole idea of this afterlife that and heaven and all this stuff that Bigelow's talking about, because he's getting old and is ready to die. He's thinking about this now, right? And a lot of people a lot of people think about it more when they get older, because you start reaching the end of life. It starts, these questions come up to you.
I'm kind of I can only be on vacation for about 4 or 5 days until I'm ready to do, either work or get the hell out of vacation. So I couldn't imagine being in quote unquote heaven, quote unquote forever. That would be crazy.
Yeah, it is. I don't think it's infinite. It's definitely not an infinite. I think a lot of our math and the problems with our math is the idea that we have infinities within our mathematics to sort of explain this world and make sense of it. But it really is not. It's really not infinite. It's finite, but there's just a lot of points, so it looks infinite because you step away from the computer screen, you don't see the pixels anymore. You see an image. And
Right.
I really think that it is it from bit, like Wheeler said, that we create our existence from little tiny bits of information, It from bit. Shoot. No. It from bit. It's called It from Bit. If you look it up, there's a whole book on it. Digital physics. Right? The idea that it's digital. It can be, a computer, a simulation theory, kind of similar idea. But the way that the universe wouldn't be a simulation is if it were really infinite, right? If it was totally infinite, there's no way it could be a simulation at all.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
there's just no way you'd have the computing, but also there's not computing power. So how does the universe work computationally? If it were infinite, it wouldn't be able to, because the computations would be just way too hard and way too extreme, right? So
they kind of address that in movies and just in, gaming with rendering distances. So
yes,
you're only going to see as far as you can see. You're only going to render as far as you want someone to see.
one of the most interesting things in physics, though, is the double slit experiment and the idea of a quantum eraser, right? The Wheeler's delayed choice experiment, it's called, right? So it basically shows that there is an error correcting code and also a way of reducing the data, computationally. So the way that the universe works, it really cuts down on the amount of computation and the amount of data that it has to do by this process of, just doing things statistically on the and approaching things on a statistical, that's what a lot of quantum mechanics is. It's statistics, applied statistics for, probabilities, probability functions and stuff. So it's I think there is some evidence, that especially this delayed choice thing, it's like there's an error correcting code. There's something there to minimize the amount of computation that's occurring. And it's inherently built into the very fabric of our universe. And I think that this is where we're going to find ways to exploit physics, is finding where, because it's not a perfect system. It's not infinite. It's bits. And there's a way that it reconciles all this information amongst itself. And if we can understand that and figure that out, I think that's going to be our key to unlocking the universe. But then, again, this comes the question of we need to understand that when we unlock this stuff, the physics of it and what it means, because we're all connected. And you can't just, when we open up this box, you can't just, I don't know, I just would hate to see Kim Jong-un open the box. He's not.
Yeah, we definitely don't want any rogue actors, like you say, in earlier talking about the weapons. What's your opinion about, everything quantum and very small, but what about things that are super huge? Like, we have problems understanding small numbers, but we have really big problems understanding huge numbers. Just look at the United States' financial situation, and you get what I'm going at there. But like, what if a solar system is a molecule in the grand scheme of the universe? So what kind of physics are you aware of that starts to talk about that?
It's so there's something called scale invariance, right? Scale invariance is a very interesting phenomenon. It's illustrated by this what's called the Wiener process. This is a very good visual illustration of what scale invariance is. It shows that, like, there are certain functions and certain things that no matter how much you zoom in on them, they stay exactly the same and they look exactly the same. And that's an issue in the whole theoretical models of quantum field theory. And
yeah, this is like an internet meme kind of a gif going on here.
it's basically there's a lot of different symmetries that occur in these that they're in certain functions that are scale invariant. Like or objects. It's objects or laws that don't change if the scale or length or energy or other variables. So there's certainly scale variance that happens within physics, within the universe, because we have these processes that, but they're also almost they're different because they look almost the same, right? An atom or electrons orbiting an atom, kind of like planets orbiting a star, and then all the stars orbiting galactic central point in a galaxy. It's kind of like there is some sort of a scale that occurs on these different levels, and there's some sort of repetition that happens on those levels, but they're definitely not the same. You can't say that there's a universe, there's a whole galaxy inside every atom, right? That was kind of like that whole that was in the Men in Black, right? They had that
right, yeah, and the necklace
and the necklace and stuff. So yeah, it's not that it's. I think it's. I like the it from bit idea, and that it's fractal. It's not. It's
well. So where I'm coming at is I don't think that we have the sensors to measure these large things yet. So we can guess or we can calculate,
right.
But
we also don't have the perspective. We need is like a secondary space station that we can communicate with that's on another star.
Like Voyager 2 or something coming back stationary or something.
Yeah, well, even further than Voyager 2, like something that would go to another solar system and basically orbit, Alpha Centauri, and we could have a station over in Alpha Centauri that could see everything that we see, but just from a slightly different angle, so that we could, compare measurements and really, really see things.
Exactly, yeah.
Because we have it's like the difference between a binocular vision and depth perception and stuff is, we have certain ideas of that, but we're looking from a fixed standpoint. So we see this redshift get for these galaxies, and we just say, oh, well, they must be moving away from us. They're redshifted, and we don't necessarily know that that's all the physics that are going on. That's all I'm saying. There might be more stuff happening out there cosmologically that we can't see with our, current optics and stuff. But I like the idea of a fractal, because the universe is kind of fractal in nature. You zoom in and it's similar repeating patterns of the original. You can find, you zoom in on the Mandelbrot set, you can find little repetitions in there of the same core shape, but they're a little different, So it's kind of like the way I look at, these atoms that appear in the mix of the you zoom way out and you see this thing that's the universe, and then you zoom in and you see galaxies that look kind of like the same, and then you zoom in on those and there's atoms that kind of doing this other thing. So the universe is very much like a fractal, which is a reiterating function. Fractals are generated from you take the same thing and you plug it back into itself, and it puts out a different input every time, because there are some systems that you do that and it puts out the same thing every time, right? And those are stable systems because they're stable. But there's other systems where you put the same function in and something else pumps out because they're not stable. And I think that these sort of core ideas are going to be essential to moving forward with a new model of a theory of everything, a new model of physics which incorporates all this stuff. But I think that is also going to make us realize that everything is connected, that it's all like fractal, and everything you do has an effect on everything else. And I hope that people who unlock these technological capabilities, I hope that also sort of comes with a greater appreciation and understanding of our place in the universe and our effect on everything else, and how important it is that we all work together. But smash that like button, guys. I got 120 people watching and only 70 likes. That's a problem. So smash that like button. Again, thanks for tuning in. And man, we have a huge crowd here today for a Tuesday morning. Never thought I'd have this many people watching. I just kind of wanted to do a quick live stream and talk about my open letter to Greer, because I wrote it to him a couple weeks ago. He hasn't responded, and it doesn't look like he's going to. So I just wanted to make it a public, open letter to Greer so that everyone could kind of see, and hopefully get on his case and get on the same side as me. To let's all get on. Let's all build this team. Whoever's down with doing real disclosure, let's get together and pump this, because if I can get the right people involved, get some filmmakers, get some video processors, some editors, some people that do animations, some people that do website stuff. If I could have a team together and funding like $1 million like Dr. Greer had, bro, disclosure would be over by the end of the year. It would just be happening. It would just no longer be an issue, and the scientific community would be like, okay, this is something we have to accept and deal with now. It's not going away. It's not ever going away. It's not ever going to be relegated to the debunk bin or a section of Reddit that deals with, or the metabunk. And it's good. It's good. You'll notice, like, Mick West is our friend, okay? The stuff that he's debunking is stuff that you probably want to, stay away from. And the stuff that he's staying away from is the stuff that you probably want to be looking into and researching. Because, we really need to look at convincing the skeptics and convincing the scientists. And the only way we're going to do that is with real science and real information. And it's time to move beyond all this speculation and a lot of this stuff, because we're about to make that merger. We're about to make that jump from type 0 to type 1. And we're not going to make that jump without the cooperation of the entire, community. We're all connected, and we're all in this together. So, who else wants to hop on Zoom before we end this? I got Dan. Oh, Dan is in the waiting room. Sorry, Dan. I'm going to post that link one more time for the Zoom call so we can get anyone else on that wants to throw in any comments or questions before we end this stream, because we're nearing 2 hours, and nobody has time for that.
Oh.
Except for us, right? Except for
Can
the
you hear
100.
me? Can you hear me, Jeremy?
Hey, Dan, how's it going?
I finally got through. I tried to get through earlier and had all kinds of audio issues, and now it's working. You're going to close down, huh?
That's it.
That's all good.
I got to keep the censorship up. We can't let too much truth get out there,
Yeah. What was the topic? You guys talking about anti-gravity?
We're talking about Dr. Greer, man, and Disclosure Project. I just read an open letter to him, telling him about, I was telling him about what we're doing with the database. We got our database set up. We got a Google Drive one, and we also have tons of backups so that the information can't be erased or destroyed. And we have a community of people working and putting
tons of backups so that the information can't be
together. Oh man, I can hear your. You want to put your headphones on or turn your speaker?
You want
the video off?
You want to know what? No. Here's what's crazy, Jeremy. I got no notification that you were live at all, and I have 2 YouTube accounts that did not let me know you were live. I just realized that. I thought it was a private call you were on, or private. Huh.
That's weird,
no
man.
Notification.
You know what? A lot of people have been complaining that they don't get notifications from my channel. They sign up, and it's kind of odd that I have twice the subscribers of some of these other guys that usually have 2 to 3 times as many people watching their live streams as I get. It's really strange what happens with YouTube, because it's and now my stream number count is
officially shadow banned. That's definitely confirmation, and I'll even show you all my invitations and all my everything. The only thing I got from you was 15 hours ago. You put your video up from APEC, and then right before that, well, there was 2 right in a row you did. I got nothing from today, or I'd have watched this live.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I very rarely get notified on your streams, Jeremy. I just happen to.
I posted on YouTube. I posted on
watching.
Facebook too, just so people know, man. And they do not want.
And
this
you have to have that
information
bell
out, man.
clicked. Does everybody have the bell clicked?
Yeah, you gotta click
Gotta
the
have
bell.
the bell clicked. The thing that's crazy is I have 2 YouTube channels. Neither one of them notified me, and my phone always goes off. My phone will go off. That's how I know right away. I have an alarm set.
It shows me up
that
here,
something's
man.
going on.
And usually we'll show in my subscriptions list that when someone's live and stuff, and I'll check that. But oh man, I don't know how to get through that and how to how we can break through the shadow ban, because I'm trying to reach bigger audiences and bigger people with this information. And it's almost like there's a conspiracy against me to get this information out there. It's no matter how.
So you wrote an email and a letter, like you wrote something.
I wrote an
to
email
Stephen
to
Greer,
Dr.
and you want to
Greer.
talk to him?
Yeah, I
have a back channel to him that's pretty good.
Yeah, I sent
a pretty solid person.
I sent it to Jan Bravo as well, who was a back channel to Greer.
Okay.
But
have you ever spoken to Greer?
I have never spoken to Greer directly, man. And I've tried. I reached out to him one other time, like I said, about 10 years ago. And his response to me was that, he's not interested in coming on unless I have 1 million people watching and I have a huge audience. Like he's only interested in.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Don't be surprised and don't be let down if he doesn't get back to you. There's also something else going on. You're educated. He doesn't at times like to talk to people that are educated. In other words, sometimes he bullshits, and I'm just going to be straight up honest. And
I've called him out for bullshit, and then he name drops, you've seen I put videos out there calling him out for that stuff.
Remember what he did to Ed?
And then he blocked me.
Remember what he did to Ed Fouché?
He blocked me on Twitter.
Yeah.
What did he do to Ed?
He did?
He blocked me on Twitter. But
here's what happened. When they did the disclosure project back in 2001 or whatever it is, sometime around there, when they were going in front of Congress and they had the guy that does the truth embargo, I'm trying to remember his name. Ed told they wanted nothing but former military guys to come forward and talk and tell what they knew. Well, Ed told him no, and there's videos where you can see Ed talking about this. Well, maybe not now because Ed's entire channel's been removed. Ed told him no, and then him and the guy that does the truth embargo thing, I can't remember his name right now. They said they'd subpoena Ed to this hearing. Well, it wasn't an official hearing, and you can't subpoena Ed to a hearing like that. Ed said, "Go ahead, I'll sue you." They wanted Ed to come on there and talk about the TR-3B. Now, some of the people that he had on that disclosure project back in 2001 turned out weren't even real military people. They were fakes.
Yeah, I know a lot of those guys were frauds, man. The one guy I really don't, Clifford Stone, the guy who said
Clifford Stone was one of the big ones. Yes,
he's like, there's cataloged, how many different species of aliens, and he said, and it's just like, come on.
He claims 3. Yeah, he's like 65 at one point, and then he said he's seen like 150 alien autopsies
so full of
and
crap,
stuff like that.
Dude.
But Ed did not like the way Greer spoke to him, and Ed said he saw through Greer. Ed didn't believe in Greer. Ed thought that Greer was, I guess, a controlled, not opposition, but a controlled person to gain knowledge and to see what people know out there. Ed didn't trust him at all. Yeah, Clifford Stone, he's no good.
Yeah, he reminds me of Richard Doty.
Ed,
he's just a bullshitter.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely. I mean? Well, Rick Doty blocked me. Rick Doty blocked
Richard
me.
Doty, man.
Walter Bosley's the one you want to talk to. Walter Bosley's
we're gonna get Walter on for the show. I'm gonna promote that a little bit ahead of time. I want to get a good date with set up a date with Walter, because we're gonna get Walter to talk about all this stuff and the spying and disinformation and sorting some of that. So he's a good guy.
Yeah,
to
get
talk
him
to.
on. He was on Steve Cambion's the other night. I listened to most of it. I like Walter a lot. Walter doesn't bullshit around. But Doty, he'll tell you the truth about Doty. Doty can't be trusted at all.
No, even
and
now.
Doty made that entire story up about going to S4. He says he went down there, couldn't see nothing, and it was actually called S2. And he said, and all of a sudden the side of the mountain opened up, and all these guards were there, and they let him in. Give me a break.
Are you talking about the new one that was on Mystery Wire?
Yeah, it's another one of George Knapp's attempts to try and
Yeah, this one right here.
Make people think that there really is an S4, and there's not. There is at Tonopah Test Range.
S4 is Tonopah Test Range. I've been telling people that for years. Yeah. Like S4 is because people keep coming out with maps of like the Area 51 that show like this connection to S4 on it.
Yeah.
And I said, you realize
Yeah.
they're like, then they're trying to use it as like ways to like say that Bob's legit. And I'm like, you realize that S4
Yeah.
is Tonopah. It's a real place, but it's at Tonopah, which is right like next to Area 51.
Who does Richard Doty look like right there if his hair was dark brown and his mustache was dark brown? He had no glasses on.
Hitler.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
Why is it?
He would
Okay,
look
he
just
looks
like
exactly like Hitler.
he's bringing
Why
back
would you
the style.
Why would you look like that? Why would you?
He's bringing back that style
Unless-
of mustache, dude. Hitler ruined that style of mustache for everyone forever. You will never ever be able to wear it. I mean, Charlie
Hitler
Chaplin
ruined a
wore
lot
it,
of things.
right? Charlie Chaplin wore it, before Hitler, and
I don't know if that's the one where he says the S4 because I think there's 4 parts, but you can tell George Knapp knows he's lying. It's like, really? They just opened the side of the mountain, just opened up. Yep, I couldn't believe it, but Bob got it wrong. It was called S2, not S4.
they're the Little Dictator. Remember that? There's a short film called The Little Dictator by Charlie Chaplin where makes fun of Hitler.
Wasn't that amazing that once voice came into film that Charlie Chaplin couldn't do it? They actually used other people's voiceovers because he was terrible at actually acting.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know
you
that.
Yeah, he's a silent film guy.
Interesting. I was researching some of the Manhattan Project and kind of like the Germans and some of that stuff recently, and I was looking up Adolf Hitler. Man, he was born in 1889. It's like almost 100 years. It's like very close to my age. 100 if I was 100 years ago. It's just crazy.
And his perfect view of a person was 6 feet tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, and he's 5'8" or 5'9" with brown hair and brown eyes. It just
Yeah, how's that even possible? It's like
yeah.
my favorite human isn't me
Yeah.
or anything like me.
Well, have you ever heard of the theory? It's actually not a theory. Have you ever read about the Vril Society and everything? They actually claim that Hitler was talked to by Nordics or tall whites, if you will.
Yeah,
They're
Fool
referred to.
Society and
The Philly Society, yes. So the question is, why did he go completely bonkers and think that there was this pure race that was over 6 feet tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, when this man was far less than 6 feet tall, brown hair, brown eyes? It kind of doesn't make any sense now, does it? It's very strange. It's like he was mind controlled or he was completely crazy, which he was.
Well, I just want to the point I wanted to make about it though is that, do you know how much he was involved with conspiracy theories? Like, people think that conspiracy theories are something new, and there's this United States of conspiracy.
He was the architect of
This guy was the architect of conspiracy theories. He rose to power on conspiracy theories.
And he convinced an entire nation to kill millions and millions of people to kill on those conspiracies. Now,
Yep.
What does that sound like?
Sounds like a conspiracy.
Sounds like what's modern times is heading towards.
Yeah, I was going to say more of like a conspiracy to control him.
I posted this on Twitter, and it didn't. Unfortunately, the way Twitter works is people have to like things in order to get promoted and get like people to see it and stuff. But if you make a post about Adolf Hitler, no one's gonna like it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But it's truth, and it's truth. This was 100 years ago.
Whether you like, whether you like Alex Jones or not, either he's already half gone. Band.video is gone already. Try to go to Band.video and see what happens. He predicted Saturday Band.video to be gone this week. It's gone.
Oh, I got it.
InfoWars is still up.
Oh, band video's up for me.
Band.video?
Yeah, I got it.
No. Type Band.
It might be a cache version. Let me just
Go to
refresh.
the website.
No, it's I'm here. I'm gonna go watch the
Why can't I get it?
Back in 1948, George Orwell said that in a world of universal
He's
deceit,
predicting that by
telling the truth
is
is a revolutionary act. He was totally right then.
CNN asked for Fox News to be taken off TV. I think it was yesterday. I saw that on another news channel.
A news network asking.
And I don't know who they
for
asked.
another news network to be taken off.
Yeah,
That's
people are
crazy.
demanding
They're
Fox
asking
News
the
be taken
government.
down.
Yeah, CNN is asking the government. I guess the FCC you would petition. But you ask Biden. You put it out there. Biden sees it. Don't be surprised if Fox News is gone in 2 months. This is where this is all going. This is where this is going.
Well, we have the coordinated attack on Wall Street by Reddit that happened, which was awesome because all these douchebags who do nothing for society but like suck and just hoard money and do absolutely nothing with the massive amounts of money they hoard, but buy fucking yachts and prostitutes and cocaine to ply politicians and get other people in their pockets, which is interesting. It's I was doing this guy came up.
They're going to use that to more internet censorship. They're going to use that for more internet censorship. What happens?
The spy networks. This is what they do,
Watch.
man. I was reading about this guy Eli Cohen. It just came up, another spy that he worked in Alexandria. Oh, he worked against Syria. He did operations against Syria and for the Mossad and stuff. And it was just talking about, what he did is he was a rich businessman, right? That set up this. He came into Syria under this fake name and pretended to be this rich businessman, and he had all these lavish parties where he'd have tons of liquor and prostitutes, right? So dispensed freely at these parties. Cohen dispensed free-flowing liquor and prostitutes, and the highly placed officials would come there and party and openly discuss their work and their plans. And he'd pretend to be drunk, and he'd have water in his glass, walking around being a drunk and having conversations, which he pretended to not even care about or not pay too much mind to, but he was listening and taking notes.
And they were filming it, recording it.
Yeah, the whole time. So it's very similar to what with the Epstein. It's very similar to what Epstein was doing with his intelligence collection ring,
Yeah, it's kind of funny because Sasha Cohen is the one who played him in the movie. So there's a movie about this by Sasha Cohen as the actor who's
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, what's the name of the movie? What's the name of the movie about this guy? I swear I've seen it. Did you ever see Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy? That's an excellent movie. If you've never seen Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy about intelligence agencies, it's about MI6. That is an incredibly good movie with Gary.
He
Oldman.
looks so much like the dude.
Based on truth. Maybe he's related to him. Let's see.
Right. But yeah, he plays the
I want to know
spy.
the name of the movie because I'll watch it today. I'm bored.
He finally has a serious role, right? I want to see him in a serious role film. That's actually in it because all of his other films he plays his very non-serious roles.
What's the name of the movie again? What's the name of the movie?
I guess I didn't even know that it was.
I'm looking to see. It's not The Spy. That's the one where he's kind of meaning it.
In the Netflix miniseries, The Spy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, that is it. Yeah, The Spy.
I refuse to buy Netflix, so I'll never be able to see it.
Yeah.
I refuse to give them $5.
Yeah, I agree with that, but it's a decent movie, and he does do a good role as a serious actor. You wouldn't even recognize him.
Wow.
Yeah, that don't mean I won't go to somebody else's house and watch him.
Yeah. We can have a viewing party if you want.
Well, bring it on. I'll put it.
I was gonna say that guy's Borat. Hey, I was gonna say that's Borat.
It is Borat.
That dude there. Okay.
He looks kind of like the real Eli Cohen, though.
Wow, that's weird to have the same last name. They look alike.
He's got the accent really good. It's a good movie. It's worth the watch, especially when you see some of the spy tactics and how he actually got played out, which is kind of interesting with Netflix because there's another one that I've been watching that's at the top of the list called Spycraft. And it's essentially letting out all of these secrets from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s about, all this technology and different tactics that spies use. And it's like, that they're using those same tactics. It's just
methods and
to
sources.
the umpteenth level. The technology's crazy that they're showing in these 1960s spy cases. And you can just imagine what they have now.
Oh, I know some of what they have now, but not all of it. But yeah, I want to go to the International Spy Museum. That's a cool place. They have it's down in D.C. They have a whole museum that shows they have they have the boots there. They have all this spy stuff.
Yeah, I've been there.
But it's it was like the Dick Smart. What was the guy's name? The guy that used to have all the spy thing. He had the telephone in his shoe.
Yeah, get smart, Agent 99.
Yeah.
Or
Right. Get
Dick
smart.
Tracy?
Don,
I'm
Don,
thinking Dick Tracy
Don,
and,
I can't remember his
and Get Smart. Yeah, Get
real
Smart
name.
and I'm
Yeah,
mixing
Get
it up
Smart,
with Dick
Agent
Tracy because
99.
Dick Tracy had a lot of those kinds of things too, you know.
Yeah, there is an incredible, this woman, I can't remember her name. She used to be tied to the Clintons at one time. She does this whole thing about what's going on in the government right now, and she nails it. And she claims that there's a space war between us and China, and whoever goes ahead
Is it
in that
Catherine
space
Austin
war,
Fitz?
we're ahead right now. Yes, man. How'd you know that? Yes.
Yeah, she's
Did
the
you
one, 'cause
watch
she's
that
the one.
whole thing?
No, I just know who you're
She
talking
goes
about.
hard. Yeah,
She goes hard. She does.
Well, there's a new one out there, and it is incredible. It's been deleted from almost every platform. I think Band.video had it.
I saw the
That's
one
her,
you're
man.
talking about. I saw the one you're talking about. She like talks. She explains the whole COVID thing in the terms of this, what they're setting up.
The
and
COVID
everything.
hoax.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
one of the few things that make me. I don't want like the. We said the wrong word. There it goes.
Oh, it's going to
Watch
get
the video.
banned.
This video is going to get banned. We said the word.
What
Guys,
video?
we can't say that word.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
You can't say the word.
We could talk about China being on the dark side of the moon.
I'm just going to let everyone
she
know
said
that,
it.
you know,
I
like,
was just referring to she said it. I didn't.
I'm
say
not
it.
afraid of this virus at all. I'll wear a mask out in public just, you know, for you know, for safety and for precaution and stuff. But like, I'm not afraid. I at this point, I don't even care if I get the damn virus. I'm so sick of what's going on in the world.
Well, there's so many different versions of it's the problem, and they claim that one of the versions is going to come along in the next year, and it's going to be devastatingly, and it's going to like kill people far quicker. It's being predicted. It's being talked about all over mainstream news, which mainstream news forecasts what's going to happen. If you want to know what's going to happen, they forecast everything. They forecast that there was going to be different strains. So you got your South African strain, you got your South American strain, you got all these different strains. So one of these strains is going to come along, and it's going to be 10 times, it's going to be 100 times more deadlier than anything ever seen. And that's what I believe is going to happen. It's going to ramp up because I have never seen anything with this many strains before. But it is from the common cold, and there's no flu deaths anymore listed from the CDC.
I thought
everything
the flu for 2020 was. I thought the flu for 2020 was called COVID. Now, like that's the declaration.
Well,
they gave it.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what's happening. There's a lot of people that die of the flu every year, and people don't realize that. And I mean, a lot more people die from that than that word you just said.
Well, the seasonal flu, yeah. The seasonal flu was called COVID-19, which the name COVID-19 is just the year that this
that strain first appeared.
Yeah,
right?
that effect first appeared, not the virus. So I was going to talk about.
It's not the 19th strain of it, right? It's the 19 previous.
2009. It's 2019 is when those effects were cataloged from the SARS-CoV-2 strain of the virus. But have you seen where no country can provide SARS-CoV-2 isolation? There's been multiple freedom of information requests. I think 47 now to multiple governments. The latest one was Canada.
No, wait a minute. What's that again?
The SARS-CoV.
What was that again?
The SARS-CoV-2 virus, the actual virus, not the effect, the COVID-19, but the SARS-CoV-2 has not been isolated in a lab.
Yeah, I've heard a bunch of
what's
this
that
stuff
mean?
on there, but
I think that what that means has implications on the PCR test, because if you haven't isolated something, how can you develop a PCR test for it?
Yeah, that's a good point. Elon Musk
I see what you're saying.
Railing a bunch about that too, about the PCR tests and stuff. And
so there's been multiple freedom of information requests sent out to multiple governments, and they all have been coming back with basically one-line answers: we don't have it, or no. So that's something that I've seen on Twitter that is a little bit interesting about the whole deal.
Yeah, I've been avoiding trying to talk about this, and this is like it's I don't know why this
well, then
stream
don't
went
if
here, but
you don't.
I've been trying to avoid talking about this whole thing on this channel just because I do not want to get shut down and shadow banned. And I'm already shadow banned to the nth degree, and I don't want to get shut down for not believing.
Yeah, I just can't believe that I did not get a notification that you were live. Man, you sent me a link. I got no notification.
I just encourage
Nothing.
people to question
I did not
everything.
know, I would watch this whole thing.
We need to start questioning everything on this channel. All the answers that we're being given, everything that the government is telling us, it needs to be viewed as a lie, and until proven otherwise, is basically where we're at right now with everything. And it's a shame that more medical people can't speak out about this because they'll lose their damn job and they'll never get a job again. The way that this whole thing is designed,
they literally shut them down.
The system, yeah, it's really messed up. What's going on?
The prisons that are
so if there was not
the hotel prisons in Canada are huge. Have you seen those? The hotel prisons in Canada. I'm not going to mention the word, but the word and then prisons in Canada. You'll see it. It's incredible what's going on up there. They're locking people from other countries in Canada because they just don't approve of their paperwork that says they're negative. There's a girl that's locked up there. And it's bizarre. They take these hotels and put all kinds of people in there that they didn't like the way their paperwork looked when they arrived into the country, even though it says they were negative. Then they're keeping them in there indefinitely. These people have not been able to leave. There's an entire hotel. And put Canada in there. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I think I heard a little bit about this, but I didn't really know everything.
It's insane.
It's
completely
insane.
crazy.
It's massive human rights violations, and I hope when this is all over, there's massive lawsuits. I really hope that there's...
This one girl's been locked in a hotel for 60 days so far. 60 days.
Yeah,
and
that's not right.
They allow her to use her. They allow her to use her phone.
They're protecting her from herself.
Yeah, it's like after 14 days, and it's after 14 days. I mean, there's no reason that they would think she'd have it, but she was negative. But it's crazy, man.
You know what's crazy is I see a future in the very near future where thought criminals will be locked up in these same kind of things, and like people like me are going to be locked up in these kinds of things.
I agree.
This is very dangerous for the future of humanity. This is extremely dangerous, man. Like, we're going down a slippery slope right to like the same slope we went down 100 years ago under Adolf Hitler.
Yep. That's what Catherine Austin Fitts kind of compares it to.
It is. It is absolutely.
She talks
where
about
are your papers, sir?
Exactly what you said. Exactly.
Now you're going to have a stamp that says you got the vaccine, right? Where are your papers? Yep. Excuse me, sir. May I see your papers, please? This is
just crazy. What's going on?
People aren't waking up, man. I don't know what the hell they need. Like, what?
Well, people need to understand that the way that we are communicating across the internet is free because they're allowing it to be free so that they can gather our information. That's the payback.
Right.
So we need to come up with other means of communicating. You can still communicate across the internet, across TCP/IP. You can still communicate across other ports. There's a lot of other ways to stay in contact, and people really need to start brushing up on that. Now, if an EMP hits, you need to have a totally different skill set. But if they just, it happened at the Capitol building. There were a lot of people who said their cell phones didn't work, so if you can't communicate that way, you need to have other ways of communicating. The government will come in and shut that down, and they could shut an application down. We've seen them take various applications offline, literally with Parler. So, if they don't like what they're seeing,
I was going to say,
they can change it.
Do you know what?
They're already taking people down. There's so many people on Facebook. There's a number of people on Facebook where I noticed their pictures have gone white and blue. And they're gone. When you go to the messenger to talk to them, they're gone. And I got a hold of one guy. He's like, "Oh man, I got thrown off Facebook last week." He's a political guy, and I was like, and I said, "How long?" I guess he's done. He said, "I was removed." He said, "I wasn't thrown off. I've been removed from the platform." And there's a number of people that's happening with, and they're trying to get rid of any type of stuff that's adverse to what the
So
Biden
this is what
agenda,
people need to
that's
do.
what call it right now.
I want to spread this. This is arrl.org, and this is where people can go and get licensed to be a national amateur radio broadcaster. So you can get your technician license as an amateur radio broadcaster. So for ham radios,
yeah,
that's what's going to be.
that.
That's what's going to be left when they take out the cell phones and they shut the grid down. We're all going to be needing ham radios to talk, and this is what people need to get on. We need to get on this now. I have a friend of mine who's a ham radio operator in Rhode Island, part of the Rhode Island Club for ham operators, and they've already targeted these groups and with their propaganda and stuff. Like they're already trying to infiltrate these groups and these people to gain control of this second way out. That's going to be a big thing in the future. People should start getting involved with that. Also, you should be getting more involved with your local public broadcasting. A lot of people have local public broadcasting in the town where you're from, and you're allowed as a citizen of that town to go in and get your content played on local TV stations. Not that anyone watches local TV anymore. Everyone's on the internet now. So, but this might be it might be something worth looking into. It's kind of like the old school way of doing it, but you can go and bring material down and get it put on regular TV in your town. So that might be a good way to get this content out there that's being banned from these other platforms. Because I mean, it's your right as a public citizen to be able to go down and publicly broadcast at your local.
Did you? I know what I wanted to ask you, Jeremy. Did you see that that guy Enrique Tarrio, the head of the Proud Boys, was an FBI informant the entire time? The guy that ran the Proud Boys was an FBI informant the entire freaking time. He was an informant in 2014. Was supposed to go to prison, but he didn't because it had to do with pharmaceuticals and stuff like that. The leader, the guy up there with the bullhorn yelling, was an FBI informant the entire time.
Can't trust anybody.
He's from.
Was that the Capitol?
That's
protest?
how crazy it is. Yep, he was there in November, December, and January.
So the FBI.
Or no, he didn't. No, he didn't make it to the one. Make it to the one in January. Joe Biggs got arrested. Joe Biggs was the guy that used to be on InfoWars. Joe Biggs was arrested on federal charges last week. They're trying to arrest a shitload of other people, but Tarrio, for some reason, he was arrested. Something happened that Tarrio didn't make it to the one on the 6th, but he's the informant. He's an informant, dude. He's an FBI informant. They already knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yes.
And
I think they staged. I knew that they staged that. When I saw Giuliani and Carrick involved, I was like, this is not good. This is not good, and you should not be following these people or whatever they're doing is going to be bad for all of us. Now, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, how delusional is Trump for even having him as an attorney, for Christ's sake?
Yeah.
Why would you have Giuliani as an attorney? It makes me question and really
it makes me question the Trump administration too,
the Trump administration is that administration goes back to Nixon, so everything that's just a recycle. So the Trump, golly, we've gone from Dr. Greer to so many different. Well, yeah, I mean, look who Trump pardoned. Roger Stone, the man with the tattoo of Nixon on his back. I mean, this is crazy what occurred.
Dude, Trump has been going to all these Davos meetings every year for I forget how long they said. Trump has been going to Davos. The Klaus Schwab thing, the guy that's running this reset shit. Well, Trump has been going there every year, except this year he hasn't been invited. What was he doing there? If these people are the evil behind the New World Order, supposedly, what on earth? Yeah, Roger Stone has the strangest shaped head I've ever seen in my life. His head's shaped like a coconut. His head's shaped like that guy that used to be on the Howard Stern show, Beetlejuice. Roger Stone, you can't trust him. That guy there's fucking just no good.
And
him and Alex are the reason why Trump's presidency is not there anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Alex, or what's his name? Trump started listening to Alex Jones and started preaching everything Alex Jones was saying It's insane. I just can't believe that he was listening to Alex Jones, because Alex Jones lies all the time. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah. No, and people were eating it up, man. That movie you showed, you're the one who showed me that United States of Conspiracy movie by PBS Frontline. And
people got to watch that.
People got to watch that, because I had no idea. I knew who Alex Jones was, but I don't really follow him like that, so I didn't know that. Like,
well, he's got the bullhorn, right? He's got the bullhorn. He's yelling. I'm comparing him to Enrique Tarrio. Is kind of what I'm saying. The controlled opposition thing. Is Alex Jones really controlled opposition? Maybe.
It's just like anything. He's trying to stay in this game for so long. His motives have changed. But have you guys heard of the movie The Waking Life? It's an animated movie. That's where I was first exposed to Alex Jones and his bullhorn. It was one of his early rants where he talks about Americans are being played. Republicans and Democrats are both basically essentially the same side of the same management coin. Yeah, there you go. Yep. Two sides of the same.
And then he switched to being a Republican all of a sudden 4 years ago.
That Waking Life rant is epic. I mean, if you just took that, you would think, wow, this guy is a freaking monster. Let's get him on.
His ex-wife is insane.
Waking Life. I got to see that one. Let's play this scene.
I've never even heard of that before.
Yeah, check out Waking Life,
I know this
Alex
one.
Jones. It's a great little animated clip.
Of enemy propaganda rolling across the picket line. Lay down, GI, lay down, GI. We saw it all through the 20th century. And now in the 21st century, it's time to stand up and realize that we should not allow ourselves to be crammed into this rat maze. We should not submit to dehumanization. I don't know about you, but I'm concerned with what's happening in this world. I'm concerned with the structure. I'm concerned with the systems of control. Those that control my life and those that seek to control it even more. I want freedom. That's what I want, and that's what you should want. It's up to each and every one of us.
Yeah, this one was a good one, man. Some of his earlier stuff was not bad, and not as bad.
Watch how he rants. As he's ranting, his face gets redder and redder. It's just it's an epic scene. By the end of it, he's like red faced, kind of smoke coming out of his ears. It's awesome.
Yeah, at the end, his face is completely red. He just gets. That's Alex Jones for you. That's what he had to. He had to keep that up though to like get his popularity. That was his stick.
Yeah, I mean, but this movie is a good movie. It talks about the consciousness across the planet, like we talked about earlier, Jeremy. I mean, it's a good movie.
Waking Life.
Now that thing I sent Jeremy on Frontline PBS is the best. Watch that sometime.
Yeah, you got to check that out. United States of Conspiracy. My first movie that I watched from Alex was Terror Storm, and then the Police State series.
And none of it's been right.
None of it's really been right, because like Police State 3, Total Enslavement was, he talked about all that
he claimed it was all going to happen
He
under
had the
Obama.
coffins, and it was all going to happen under Obama with the Endgame. Remember, Endgame came out right when Obama got elected.
Yeah, the things that were coffins are plastic coffin liners. You know why? I worked for the company that used to make them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, why?
Instead of a cement liner, it's a much cheaper alternative, because the cement liner costs, I forget how much more. The plastic liner is like $150. It's for people that don't have money, that are being buried into the ground. A cement coffin liner is big bucks. That's what those plastic coffin liners were.
Interesting. Yeah, because they were just piles of them, though. It made it look like
in Georgia. Yes, they had to move them because people were vandalizing them and shit and everything.
Yeah, because why were there so many in that one place? And it's just people like it just looks suspicious when they have that many coffins in one spot.
They were nothing but liners, is all they were.
Yeah, well, they haven't been used.
Type in plastic
15 years ago.
Liner.
I mean, some of them
they should still be around. They haven't biodegraded, that's for sure.
Yeah, so
no, they get used.
They made up a lot of stuff to scare people that didn't come true, and there was a lot of fear mongering involved the whole way. And that was a big part of Alex Jones's.
When people are buried into the ground, they're put into a liner of some sort. Typically, it's cement. Well, guess what? If you don't have a funeral, costs a shitload of money. In case you've never paid for one, the plastic alternative is pennies on the dollar. Literally.
Yeah, let's look up a price for a. Let's look up a. Concrete coffin price. let's see how much it would cost for a concrete vault. Look at these caskets are almost $1,000 just for the caskets. Let's find the concrete
way
vault.
more than that.
Hey, Jeremy, you got a super chat that came in.
Oh, we got a super chat. This guy, Robert
Victor
Bingen, is literally a balloon summoner. Don't waste your time unless you want to laugh. Yeah. Thanks, Victor Wag. We kind of determined that, and I'm just, I didn't want to.
Yeah, and if you type in plastic grave liner, you'll see those things that Alex Jones said he were going to throw 6 bodies in at a time, him and Jesse Ventura, and we were all going to be killed and all that stuff. None of that ever happened. That was all bullshit.
Yeah. It was fear mongering. It's got a lot of people scared, but it never happened again. So you lose credibility when you promote. My whole thing was like, Alex didn't really do. I mean, he kind of was like, everything's a conspiracy, And then when Sandy Hook and the Boston bombing happened, right? That was like between Sandy Hook and the Boston bombing, right? From 2012 to like when was the next year was I think when was the Boston bombing? What year was that? So 2013. Yeah, it was April 2013. So it was a year later. These kind of events were back to back, one year after another, and between those two events, he just destroyed the credibility of any kind of movement that was. I watched all these movements that were pushing for legitimate investigations into events that happened. That I won't mention or talk about. There are some conspiracies that are legitimate. All right, and when this stuff came out, they pushed all this. They just pushed this whole thing of like everything's a conspiracy. And then the crisis actors thing. The crisis actors thing was an element which was prevalent between Sandy Hook and the Boston bombings, as they were trying to say that all these people were actors and that none of it really happened. It was all faked and staged. Yeah. So they bring this whole like level of conspiracy to just a complete new level of absurdity and the amount of people that they would have to involve in the conspiracy plot. And it literally just tore all these movements apart. It got all these people to discredit themselves, to jump on board with all this nonsense. And that's exactly, and it was continued with this QAnon thing for the last 4 years. I watched it. This is controlled opposition. Mm-hmm. This was not a conspiracy. It was these Sarnev brothers. All right?
Exactly. I remember you went and drove around all the spots.
Yes. They had Alex Jones and David Icke was saying, no, your backpack's right here, bro. Right? Remember the backpacks right here?
They blamed it on Chris Kyle's company, the security company, which was what was the name of the security company? Craft International.
Yeah,
that was
Craft
Chris
International.
Kyle,
these guys were the ones that they were saying, right? So the guy had the backpack on, and these guys that were there from the military that looked like Craft International guys. One guy was wearing the Craft hat. Right, but these guys, Kraft does training for these military people, and I identified all these guys. They had these pictures of these guys. They were trying to say that this guy was a Saudi agent and linking him with pictures of these Saudi agents and stuff. And this was all over Infowars and David Icke, saying all this stuff about these military.
They were Army guys and stuff, right? And SEALs, weren't they?
They were part of these guys, right? This whole team, right? They were part of the civil support team. Right, so it's the first civil support team at Hanscom Air Force Base, which is right northwest of Boston, which is where they came from. Because I'm from around here, and I was just like, if this is a real conspiracy, like it was going nuts on Alex Jones and Infowars, then I'm going to investigate it and find it. And
his wife said he lies for the views and the money. He makes $100,000 a day at times, a day.
It's sad that so many things boil down to money. He has such a good message, but it makes you wonder, does his infrastructure require that money, or is he just a greedy person? I think the latter is probably.
He's greedy. Most of his infrastructure quit and was fired.
Yeah, you can watch that thing. His wife really tells the story, because she says no matter, he bought all these houses. He was just after the money. After 2011, he realized he can make $100,000 every 2 weeks, or whatever he was pulling in.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah, but Prison Planet TV had to be housed on the servers. He had to pay for that infrastructure, is what I was talking about, not the.
Oh, sure. He has satellite uplinks and all that stuff. Sure. But the bottom line is, his wife and other people say he's making 100,000. They have people from the show that quit. 100,000 a day. What is it called, Jeremy? United States of Conspiracy, right? Just show the video so people know what to look for. Gotta watch it. It shows the truth about him. He's a bullshitter.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that have worked underneath him that have branched off from him that are still working. I think Millie Weaver was one that most recently maybe broke off away from him.
Remember Millie Weaver was arrested for supposedly stealing a cell phone and beating her mom up. There's weird stuff that happens to people that leave the Alex Jones show. That's all. I'm just going to leave it at that. Remember he had that black guy, Jakari Jackson, on there. He left.
There's the documentary to watch. So, and they just had these people on there, like this woman, this woman's terrible. She's like conspiratorial thinking, and oh my God, the way that these people harped on this is just like the CIA was just like they're like a bunch of sharks who smelled blood in the water, you know, like. All right, now we can do. Alex Jones is going to get taken down, so let's just, knife it through the heart of all conspiracy theories and try to mix this up with as much other real stuff as we can to discredit the real stuff with this bullshit. It's so
that was
clear.
Hilarious when he went in there and fought the Young Turks. You're right at the part where I think he goes and fights the Young Turks. It's hilarious at the Republican National Convention in Cleveland, Ohio. That was funny, man, when he went in there and started that fight with Cenk Yogurt.
Oh, yeah, Chunky Yogurt.
Oh, my God, that video had like 69 million views at one point. There it is, right here.
Yeah, here it is. Oh, this is great. Hey, oh, God, they're like, what?
I'll never forget this. They were going to beat the shit out of each other, too. They're about the same size.
Is that Ted Cruz?
Was that Ted
Cruz? No, I mean, no, I thought I saw Ted Cruz sitting there for a second on the interview. Oh, yeah, here we gosh. Oh, there's Roger Stone. He's leading the whole thing.
Yep. Oh, man, look at him. Oh, God, he's ready to fight him. This was a spectacle, man.
There's Josh Owens.
He's like, no, you're pissed because we're kicking your ass. It was just creating chaos. It's really what he was. Chaos. It creates chaos because it's entertaining.
And to think that Trump listened to him.
Oh, he repeated like his conspiracies word for word at all of his rallies. He was like, Hillary Clinton is a demon. That's what really got me all like I was actually like on the fence about Trump, man. But when he was saying all that shit about going after Hillary Clinton and putting them in jail, I'm like, man, that would just start it. So like that kind of got me interested. Like that's why I was like almost like,
I bet that Trump ends up in jail.
He's gonna end up in prison. Oh yeah.
He's gonna get indicted. Jones is gonna get Jones has.
You think so? You think that's gonna happen?
Jones paid for this whole thing to happen down there, and he arrested all these other people and haven't even approached him yet.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, It's like the guy I was telling you about from the Proud Boys. Alex Jones got everybody all worked up, and then he doesn't get in any trouble at all. None.
No, because the Trump donor, they $500,000 he got paid, or he put up.
Some lady put up $300,000, and he got the other $200,000.
Wow. Yeah, and
which is only 2 days fucking worth of work for him.
Mm-hmm. He probably made that back on the news coverage he got from the covering the thing.
Right.
He's there. He was there front line covering.
The president, someone said, I doubt that. I think Alex Jones will be in jail by the next presidency. If he's real.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I question. Everyone thought Hillary was going to be in jail and so-and-so was going to be in jail, but no one ever ends up in jail. And now we've got Trump exiting with all those pardons of key people, and then Biden signing the most executive orders of any president to start off with. Now we're at the point where every president is going to shift, and it's just going to be 50 executive orders to change everything that just happened. And
the last president did, and we're just going to go back and forth between Republicans and Democrats.
That's a crappy state. I mean, our current president has been in politics longer than I've been alive. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, Joe Biden is too old and too out of it, I believe.
He's a puppet. They're all puppets, man.
He literally sat there and said that he didn't know what he was signing. I mean, you can't sign. Well, isn't it against the law to just sign something, an executive order that you don't know what it is?
Yeah, old man earpiece is, he's just definitely not. He's in charge, but he's definitely not the one who's in charge. I'm just, everyone knows that.
I think within the year he'll drop out due to health reasons, and then the vice president will take over.
Right. We've been predicting that he could even, health reasons could even include him dying in office and being, something. I don't know. I was thinking they might. I was thinking they're going to stage a whole thing to lock down more conspiracy theorists. They might even try to. I don't know what the heck's going on, man. It just. Who knows? We'll see. These are good predictions.
And there's a number of videos where he says that they cut the top of his head off twice, which is a complete lie because of aneurysms. When they cut the top of my head off, he actually claims they removed the entire top of his skull, and they did not. That'd leave a hell of a scar. If you look back over Alex Jones over the past 10 years, there's not a lot of stuff that he said that has come true. That's my problem with him. I got pissed off at him a while back because I just don't believe in either side, Democrat or Republican.
Well, this was supposed to be a letter to Stephen Greer, and people like complaining that we got completely off the topic of Stephen Greer, and we're getting into Alex. Now we're talking about.
Shut it down.
Yeah, I'm going to shut it down. We got anything closing comments to maybe we can bring this back and relate it to Disclosure Project and Stephen Greer somehow, but I guess it is all kind of related because
politics takes place, and that's just something we can't avoid. So
the politics of UFO disclosure, I think, is I don't know.
Yeah, there's 180 days that they're supposed to disclose everything, right? Right.
Alex doesn't touch UFOs. He touches all these other conspiracy theories, but he's never been UFOs.
That's because he shouts about all kinds of other crazy lizard people, and I can't even. Yeah. Well, if we go back to Stephen Greer, let's just say, Dr. Greer, join the scientific community with your woo-woo, and let's come up with some measurable results of your UFO summoning.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
The lizard people. All about because of David Icke being on his show. Alex Jones never said anything about reptilians being that I ever remember about reptilians. That was all because he had Icke on his show. At least I don't remember.
What's awesome is back in the day, before he used to criticize David Icke all the time. That before he
I know he did. And then now he has him on his show.
I know. It's because it's for the money. It just shows that it's for the money and how he changed over the years. Because look, this is Alex Jones on David Icke from in 2001. This is what he had to say.
The conspiracy theory world is highly competitive, and ever since David burst onto the scene with it,
it's time for another Tea Party. So there's your Tea Party stuff. Remember they had the Tea Party and all that movement. That was another controlled that whole Tea Party was another big controlled opposition movement.
Yeah, it came out of Texas too. Ted Cruz.
His extraordinary new theory about the genetic origins of the shadowy elite. His fellow conspiracy investigators have been scandalized.
Now is the time! Not tomorrow! Not next week! Not next year! We're engaging an info war!
Everywhere I've been, meeting people who are trying to uncover the great conspiracy, the subject of David Icke always seems to come up.
So what's David Icke doing on TV? We have a lot of different producers. You just get tired of the real meat and potatoes, the real issues. So he's gone for all the ridiculous Hollywood stuff of David Icke and the blood-drinking lizard people. So what does David Icke do? He talks about the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, these global elitists, these power structures, all real, all true, all demonstrated by bills and executive orders and prime ministers and premiers and presidents. All real meat and potatoes, something you can bite into. Something that is easily demonstratable. And then you've got David Icke at the end of all this. He says, by the way, they're blood-drinking lizards. Blood. Al Gore needs blood to drink. So does Prince Philip. I mean, it's asinine. And it's being picked up by people. And so it discredits all of the reality people are talking about. And that's the problem with David Icke. He's got a good line to a point, and then he discredits it all. It's like a turd in the punch bowl. That's his job. He's got this nice big thing, this nice fruit punch, nice ice cubes floating around in it, and then he takes a big dump right in the middle of it, and no one's going to drink out of that punch bowl.
Boom, the floater. So that was my favorite line of Alex, and of course he turned into the floater himself now, didn't he? But yeah, we'll leave it at that, man.
The floater.
Yep. the floater, and
he
he floats from one conspiracy theory to
really changed, man.
He's so
really
changed.
It is almost like somebody's controlling him, isn't it?
I really think that they got him with the Sandy Hook thing, bankrupted him, and then said, you're going to go to
well,
prison
that
or
was all
something.
overturned the other day. Now he is going to have to pay them. Do you know that?
Really?
He'll bankrupt him. Oh, absolutely. If you type in Alex Jones Sandy Hook news, it'll come right up. A federal court ordered the other day that he's done. He'll owe them hundreds of millions of dollars.
As he should. He ruined their lives and put them through unfathomable trauma beyond what they already experienced.
The worst one's Lenny Paulsner.
They lost their freaking kids.
They can't move anywhere. They're harassed and threatened and doxxed.
Fuck these people. I don't understand how these people get, how these people are attacked. I've been debunking these theories online. How come these people don't come to my house and threaten me and attack me? I've been debunking these idiots. I fight with them on Facebook. They talk shit about me. I give them my address and tell them where they can come find me. And they never show up on my doorstep.
That's not the right news, because that's from July.
That's bullshit, man. I don't know. Yeah, that's from July. But anyways, that's a whole bunch of crap, man. And anyone who's harassing those families still, and those people that, were propped up, that's exactly what the government does. They find these nut jobs and they give them money to prop them up. Like the guy that Alex was giving money to, who was going after the Sandy Hook victims, and he was just funding the guy. He's, made him an InfoWars reporter, an official reporter for InfoWars.
Oh my gosh, I know you're
bunch
talking
of
about.
bullshit.
Well, think about it. Alex Jones could be the ultimate honeypot. He could be the reason they have him put all this stuff out there, and then all the people that follow it and do this and do that are obsessed with him, and then go out and commit crime and stuff. It's easy to track them because they're all info warriors. It's you gotta realize the way they're using him. They could be using him to get people, to throw people in the gulag. So maybe they don't want to take him off the air, because once they do, it'll be harder to track these people.
Yeah, he is yep. You're definitely. I definitely see all these things.
I watch a show because there's not really much else to watch, but that doesn't mean I believe what he's saying. I like watching some of the guests on there if he lets them talk. Doesn't let many of them say any damn thing,
Alex, what do I want to look up? Stephen Greer. Anything new from Stephen Greer lately? Has he put out anything recently?
He did an interview last month with. I watched the entire thing. He did.
Please don't blow up this beautiful planet.
What's that?
But if you do,
he's kind of still the same.
if you go to mutual assured destruction, the full launch of nuclear weapons globally, we can intercept a lot of them so that you don't go to a full extinction level event. They felt that it was actually a very hopeful thing that happened. Meanwhile, people came along.
He'll have great stuff, then he'll mix with complete crap.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's like the turd in the punch bowl again, over and over. Anyways, let's wrap it up here, man. We're getting carried away with this. We've started as an open letter to Greer, and I might have to cut it up and clip it up now that we've,
Yeah.
But again, stay away from the floaters. Stay away from, we got to focus on the meat and potatoes, the real meat and potatoes to bite into. And that's what we're trying to do with APEC and with, our engineering conference. Someone asked me a question about the database and stuff. I'm going to make a link available. We're going to do a database video here shortly and talk about where people can get. We're going to start giving people access to all this stuff. A lot of it's just for our team and for the engineers. If you're a scientist and really the normal person out there doesn't have any need or reason to be digging through a lot of this stuff. It's really for engineers and scientists. So if you want to join our team, we'll give you access to our file and our stuff. But in the meantime, I'm going to be doing a database video on where people can get access to a lot of this information and find. There's a new website out that people can download papers online too. And I got to get that website. It was up in the chat the other night. I meant to get it together before I started the stream, and I don't have time to look for it now. But anyways, yes, thanks for watching, and we'll be doing more updates shortly with the database and everything else, and focusing on the meat and potatoes and getting away from that reptilian turd in the punch bowl. And yeah. Anyways, oh, not all reptilians are bad. Sorry, I used that word. Yeah. Yes, and we want to combine all the databases. We've already met up with a couple groups and combined databases. So Corey, you can email me at the alien scientist, one word, at gmail.com or protonmail.com if you want to use a more secure communication that's not run by Google NSA. So you can email me on Proton Mail if you want. And look forward to hearing from you guys, and looking forward to sharing our files and exploring this database together and getting this information consolidated in one place and out to the public. And again, there was another guy who mentioned that he does web design too. Please email me so that we can all get in touch. And I want to set up a network and a website and get this information out there. I need a team of people to help me like translate this and get the information broken down and get out there. And to close off, Dan, why don't you give us a commercial update for male vitality? Dan, you still there? Well, anyways, I'll give you guys a commercial. This is Alex Jones with, all male vitality. We're selling, I take these pills myself, and they make me more vital than a T-Rex in heat. So yeah, Dan's no longer Dan. Dan does it much better, the Alex Jones voice in his pants. But
oh yeah, the globalists people.
The globalists.
Folks. Folks, you there? When I was downtown, I was talking to a couple of people the other day. I actually saw Jeffrey Epstein walking down the street the other day, right by my house in Austin, Texas. I'm going to tell you something, people. These globalists are just out of their mind, sheer crazy with poison in their blood. And if I wasn't taking my global super alpha male 5000, I wouldn't know what I'd do. Every morning I pop at least 3 or 4 of them. By the way, did we tell you that they're 50% off right now with free shipping? We've also got the female version of Super Male Vitality. That's 50% off with free shipping, but make sure you buy your vitamins from us, folks. It's all a scam. It's all a scam to sell vitamins, and his wife outs him, even though she gets a percentage of that money, his ex-wife.
Yeah.
She outs him as a fraud right on that video. I'm like, wow, you're getting in. She owns 20% InfoWars. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
And she wants it shut down. Oh, she's the reason they know he's making $100,000 a day. When he was in his house filming back in the late 90s, she said he was making $50,000 a month.
That's
that wasn't good enough.
How? Please, I want to get a hold of her so she can teach me how to monetize my channel and make that kind of money. I don't have the numbers for one. Look at, because of the shadow bans.
Well, if you go on her Twitter, she hates her ex-husband. All she does is bitch about him 24/7.
Wow.
She went back to her original name too, which is Spanish. I can't remember what it was. Alex Jones's new wife, Erica Wolf, is actually a call girl.
Erica Wolf?
I met her.
How is it?
WULF. Now it's Erica Jones, but his new wife's a call girl.
Really? I didn't know that. But anyways,
yeah.
Steven Greer doesn't have a wife. Yeah, because we all know he's
he claims he does, but I don't. You have to spell Wolf. I think it's WULF. That's how you spell her name.
I think one of the reasons maybe Steven Greer didn't approach me and have me. I'm not young enough. I'm older. I'm too old now.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, he fakes stories about having a wife and stuff. I don't believe he has a wife and kids. There's a lady he's hung around with for many years. It's supposed to be his wife, but I don't believe it.
Oh yeah, they had Jan Bravo and stuff, but no. Anyways, we're gonna end it on that, and I'm gonna thank you guys for watching. And man, I wish I had
Later, folks.
I wish I made him $100,000 this month. Yes, I could do so much.
Jones made $100 million.
$100 million. You know what I could do? I could just, oh my God. And the wrong people have the money. It's just sick. It's just
When he gets on there and lies and says he had to remortgage his house because he's going broke. Bullshit. If you're making $100,000 a day, you don't got to remortgage anything.
Nope. All right, bro.
No, you don't. Unless you're spending a fortune on stuff, and I don't think he spent that much. But
All right, well, we'll leave it at that. Stephen Greer, Disclosure Project, come on, dude. We'd really like to see you join up and come to the light side instead of the dark side. Don't be an Alex Jones. Don't go down that path. Don't go down this where you're making up stuff just to make yourself more popular, man. There's plenty of real meat and potatoes to focus on. We don't need to be summoning UFOs. We need to be building one in a garage with some, serious funding, So thank you guys for